Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku discovered the true meaning of strength part 1. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content. And leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. So let's start the video. Quirks, powers that gave both human and beast, from the ability to glow your body to causing earthquakes by flicking on the ground. Quirks have evolved to be a powerful tool that brings the rise the age of heroes, who outshone the age of vigilantes, as young children learn to harness their quirks to be the next generations of heroes. There are 3 types of quirks existed. Emitters are quirks that grants people powers to generate or control certain things, like generating electricity from your body, controlling the mind, the instant increase of strength, and telekinesis. Transformation are quirks that grants people to temporarily transform their body in a variety of ways, like to turn your arms to stone, be soft like clay, be harder than steel, and a full body transformation. Mutants are quirks that grants people new form of changes to their genetics which gave them animal-like parts, the enhancement of 1 or 2 of the 5 senses, extra body parts, and machine parts on any parts of the body. But there are groups of people that are shunned for what they have, that the whole quirk populace mock them or humiliate them. The quirkless, people who doesn't have a quirk and is counted as a liability to the people's eyes, and be seen as trash or useless. So here's our story will begin. A tiny miracle that comes upon a little quirkless boy. In a small park, a young boy with a round face framed by a short mess of fluffy dark green hair which sticks up at odd angles around his head, casting noticeably dark shadows onto itself. His eyes are large and somewhat circular. Their iris is the same green color as his hair, which at times are very watery, usually stretched quite wide, giving him an innocent appearance. He has a set of 4 symmetrical freckles in diamond formations, 1 on each cheek. This is Izuku Midoriya, and he is currently protecting another kid from the 3 boys in front of him, primarily the in front of the trio. He has short, spiky ash blonde hair with choppy bangs that hang over his eyebrows. His eyes are sharp and bright red in color. This is Katsuki Bakugo, Izuku's first friend and resident bully. Ken, stop hurting him, Izuku stuttered. And why should I, Deku? Katsuki said with a dangerous grin. Both boys met when their parents, who are longtime friends, came to Izuku's home and they played and became friends. They had dreamt to be heroes, but the two have different reasons. Izuku wanted to be a hero to protect everyone, while Katsuki wanted to be a hero so he can show his powers and be famous. Their dreams are fueled by their idol, All Might, the #1 hero to today's society. All Might was idolized by everyone in Japan, as he will save the innocent and defeat powerful villains that disrupts the peace of the country, and inspire them to be strong and be brave to take the challenge. But poor Izuku has one problem. He was quirkless, while Katsuki has an emitter-type quirk that he dubbed Explosion. The green-haired boy is always ridiculed by his peers. Even his own mother felt sorry for her own son. They will mock him, humiliate him, hurt him, and full-on threaten him to be killed. Izuku might be determined, but he was so shy and antisocial to everyone. But he still wanted to be a hero even if he was quirkless. But everyone belittled him and starts calling him Deku, which means useless. Do you see that he's hurt? Izuku tried to reason. I don't care, Katsuki yelled as mini explosion occurred from his palm with his 2 lackeys using theirs. Hey, leave Suzu alone, someone shouted as little Izuku gasped as he knew who it was. Looked to his right and saw 2 other kids running to him. The first one is a young boy who has relatively short blonde hair, parted to the right with a black lightning-shaped streak on the left of his side fringe, which is angled so that it partially obscures his left eye. He has slanted, somewhat triangular yellow eyes, and notably small eyebrows. And the second one is a young girl. She has triangular, lazy-looking onyx eyes with notably long lower eyelashes and rather small eyebrows. Her hair is short, only around chin length, and is dark purple in color with an asymmetrical fringe and 2 reflections shaped like sound waves on either side of her head. Her most prominent features are the flexible, plug-like earphone jacks hanging from each of her earlobes at the end of 2 thin cords. Denki, Kyoka, Izuku called out happily. Denki Kaminari and Kyoka Gyro were their names. Izuku has known the 2 when they were in preschool but left when their parents decided to move out, but they will visit him once a week. The 2 of them were always by his side. Even he was marked as quirkless. They share the same view as him, to protect the people even if they haven't asked. Zuku, Denki called out as he and Kyoka stood beside Izuku. And the kid he protected has ran off. Thanks guys, Izuku said to them as his confidence came back to him. We will always by your side, Kyoka said as she smiled to him. So your loser butt is you useless piece of SHT, Katsuki cursed angrily. What's wrong with him, as he blasted them. The Izuku and his friends were too shocked from the fact that the violent blonde really want to hurt them. They didn't have enough time as they were blasted away, and was on the ground groaning in pain. He's insane. Denki groaned as he struggled to stand up. Don't ever try to stand up, you useless Deku, or I'll blast your loser buddies. Katsuki threatened as three of them look at him in horror. Why you wouldn't? Izuku stuttered in horror. So then stand down. Never, Kyoka said as she struggled as well. So be it, Katsuki said as he prepared another explosion. Izuku could only look in fear and horror for himself and his friends. He could only blame himself for dragging them to his. He could look down in shame. Is that what you want, boy? He suddenly heard a voice. What? He thought as he shook in fear. You want to give up? But what can I do? Izuku thought as he could only thought of it as his subconscious. What, he's a smart boy. So you will give up? No, he thought as he clenched his fists. Then what will you do? I'll protect them. Will you let your friends be hurt? No, he thought as he felt his anger grow. Will you let your loved ones be hurt? No, he muttered in a quiet tone. Will you let them die? No, he said a little louder. Die, Katsuki shouted as his explosion is fired at the trio. Izuku, Denki, and Kyoka shouted to their friend. Will you let everyone suffer? No, Izuku roared to the heavens on his knees with all of his anger. What happened next will be implanted to the minds of everyone in the area forever. The very ground Izuku kneeled on caved in by an unknown pressure as the ground rumbled, and the trees were shaking. Everyone in the area ran in fear of this as they thought of it as an earthquake along with Katsuki's lackeys. But Katsuki, Denki, and Kyoka could only stay in their place in fear. Izuku could feel the power inside him grow. It felt natural to him, like he was meant to use it. He then gained a green glowing outline all over his body and his eyes glowed with the same color. The earth continued shaking as some rocks came out of the ground with the same glow as Izuku as he continued to yell. What is going on here? A relatively short man wearing a dark blue bodysuit that includes a wooden belt, wooden knee pads, and wooden shoes. A small rose veil hangs from the left side of his belt. Look, it's 𝐒𝐴𝐲𝐵, we're safe. One of the civilians cheered, followed by everyone as more heroes came to the scene. It took an hour as 4 heroes gathered around the park as they were amazed from what they saw. Multiple rocks are up in the air floating, with some of the park's ground floating in the air with trees on them. So what's happening? A woman asked. She has an athletic build with muscular arms and legs. She has dark skin, red eyes which are tilted slightly inwards, long eyelashes, and straight white hair reaching down past her waist. On her head, she has a pair of long white rabbit ears pointing upwards with a slight crook. Along with these, she also has a round white tail. She wears a sleeveless white leotard with a dark purple trim around her shoulders and waist, a wide, yellow crescent moon design over her chest, and 2 thick metal plates on her midriff. She wears purple thigh-high boots to complement her leotard, with more plating around the heel and toe areas, making her feet look like those of a rabbit. She also has a pair of thick white gloves on her hands with long cuffs, sporting small triangular protrusions around their edges. Someone's quirk is unlocked, 𝐒𝐴𝐲𝐵 said, which shocked them. Can we get in? Another woman asked. She is a voluptuous young woman who has purple eyes with white pupils, with elegantly long eyelashes. She has long, voluminous, creamy blonde hair reaching her waist, with 2 shorter strands curled to frame her face which are parted slightly to her left. She wears a purple and pale tan-colored skin-tight bodysuit, which is accented with orange stripes. The suit appears to have a pair of purple gloves with orange accents on the edge of the cuff. The design is similar for her boots, which are cut off at the thigh in a deep V shape. The suit also has 3 peculiar orange diamond-shaped dots on the purple top that are located under her chest. And she also wears a purple domino mask with horn-like protrusions on the sides. Though there's an invisible that just simply bounce of any attacks. And I can't just use my quirk here since there's still children there, a female voice said from a white space suit using what appears to be a puffy jacket instead of an actual suit. A black helmet with white eyes, and a pair of yellow boots as she points to the 4 children inside. Hey, look at that, the rabbit woman said as she points onto the land. The one she points started to come back to the ground along with the others as the rocks went back underground. And the park looked like it never was disturbed once. They then saw the green-haired boy gone limp, probably from quirk exhaustion, as they rush in to check the area. Are you kids all right? 𝐒𝐴𝐲𝐵 asked the 3 children. Yeah, we are, Denki said as he was still shocked from the whole thing. Is he going to be all right? Kyoka asked as she was worried for the unconscious boy. Yeah, he will be. He's just having quirk exhaustion, the woman in the spacesuit said. He has a quirk, Katsuki said in shock. What did you just say? 𝐒𝐴𝐲𝐵 asked as narrowed his eyes to the explosion boy. You Deku, Katsuki shouted in anger as he pounced to the unconscious boy. Hey, calm down, you said as she immediately grabbed hold to the angry blonde. Sir, he's quirkless, Denki said, which shocked the 4 heroes. So a late bloomer, I see, the rabbit woman said. Late bloomer, Denki and Kyoka asked in confusion. Basically, a kid your age got a quirk a year or 2 late, you explained as the 2 finally understand. Let's get him to the hospital. 13 call his parents, 𝐒𝐴𝐲𝐵 ordered the spacesuit-wearing woman. Yes, sir. Good thing Endeavor wasn't here, the now-named 13 said as she and the other heroes shivered when they thought of the number 2 hero. That's not gonna be good, you said as she lifted the angry blonde away to get his parents. Alright kiddos, let's get to your parents, the rabbit woman said to Denki and 𝐂𝐽𝐽. Can we come with you to the hospital? He's our friend, 𝐂𝐽𝐽 asked. Well sure, but we're telling your parents, 13 said. Yes ma'am, the two kids said as they followed the three heroes to the hospital. Izuku felt that he was hit by a brick on the head as he groggily opened his eyes. He rubbed eyes as he looked around as shock quickly take over. He wasn't in the park anymore. He's on a large hill with a large sakura tree on top of it. You have finally come, boy. Izuku quickly stiffened as he heard the voice. Where are you? Izuku asked. Look up, boy. That he did look up and saw something on one of the branch of the tree. It was a gray wolf with green tips on its fur and a gold necklace around its neck. Whoa, Izuku said in awe. I have waited for a long time, boy, the wolf said. Where am I? Izuku asked. You are in your mind. So who are you? I am from what you call in this time your quirk. You are but unquirkless, Izuku said in shock. You are wrong, boy. Your powers will not show physically but spiritually. You need to know by entering your mind, and not see from flesh, muscle, or bones. Then the doctor lied. I have seen your memories, boy. And I saw the doctor being truthful, but he might not be as smart as that damn paper said. So what's your name? Your quirk and me have the same name. The way of calm of peace. My name is Zen, your spirit and mind. But that is not all of your power, boy. What else? Your originates to a man that is trained and raised by a dragon. Izuku gasped in excitement. He has the power to chop an entire mountain with his own pinky. What is his quirk called? Izuku asked but grew confused when Zen laughed. His powers wasn't born from him, boy. But how? There is no way a man can do that without a quirk. There must. He was about to mumble of what his brain was processing. But he was hit at the head by a branch. Boy, I wasn't finished. This power wasn't born from him because it isn't a quirk. But talk and I will sit on you. Izuku, shut up now. Now as I can explain now. This power isn't a quirk, but through genetics it became one as it is now hereditary. But how did he get it? The dragon gave it to him as a parting gift when he was old enough to explore the world. What about his parents? I don't know. I have only been manifested by one of his descendants, and they don't what happened to them as well. The whole mindscape then shook as everything starts to fade. What's happening? Izuku panicked. You are waking up, boy, but remember I am always there with you. Izuku suddenly woke up and he was surprised as he was now in a hospital bed. And sleeping on the couch were 𝐂𝐽𝐽 and Denki. He tried to stand up but was his body in pain, so he could only groan. He then saw 𝐂𝐽𝐽 waking up as she rubbed her eyes and looked at him. He instantly regret waking up as 𝐂𝐽𝐽 looked at him in worry and surprise as she tackled him on the bed and hugged him. 𝐂𝐽𝐽, Izuku shouted in pain. Don't ever do that, you idiot. 𝐂𝐽𝐽 shouted as she hugged him more. Mom, is it breakfast already? Denki said as he just woke up. Denki, help. Izuku shouted. Izuku. Denki panicked as he tried to help the green-haired boy. The door suddenly opened as a short, elderly woman with gray hair styled into a netted bun, a large syringe poking diagonally out of it to the left. She has a notably small nose and eyes which are usually drawn as two little dashes, and a long mouth with defined nasolabial folds came in the room. She wears a doctor's lab coat and a dress with yellow and red vest-like designs on either side, 2 yellow buttons, and a belt with a pink R-shaped buckle. She wears pink boots and has a helmet around the sides of her head, a purple-tinted visor joining it over her eyes. In addition, she walks with a cane designed like a syringe that she can also use for healing the injured. Okay, dearie, what is going on here? The old woman yelled as the three kids immediately stop on what they are doing. Denki was pulling 𝐂𝐽𝐽 by her little legs, but the purple-haired girl was holding on to Izuku tightly, and said green-haired boy is blushing when the elderly woman looked them on the spot. Breakfast, Denki said, but 𝐂𝐽𝐽 kicked him for making the whole thing awkward. After a very awkward explanation, the elderly woman said her name is Chiyo and she was Recovery Girl. Recovery Girl said that Izuku was in a coma for 2 days. Izuku was of course shocked of this, because his body couldn't handle his powerful quirk. So when Izuku can finally leave the hospital, her mother and 𝐒𝐽𝐽 immediately gave him a crushing hug as she was crying for 2 consecutive days when she visits him. When Izuku came back to his house, 𝐂𝐽𝐽 and Denki's parents came to pick them up to go home as Izuku immediately went to his room filled with All Might figurines as he got another notebook as he wrote 2 words on it. Caught fist first step. It has been 10 years from the dubbed psychic field incident as our main protagonist Izuku Midoriya is in his high school as he was writing on his notebook. He was now tall and very muscular and his hair fluffy green hair strangely has red tips. Probably from a dormant gene from any of his family after he unlocked his quirk. On his notebook is everything he recorded from the past year he trained and strengthened his quirk. His quirk that Zen dubbed Zen is a rare combination of mutant and emitter type. But Izuku decided to call it yin-yang to make sense. After the day he came back home, he noticed that he was more energized and drank like 10 cups of warm milk to make him sleep, which stressed his mother out from his new endless energy. So he exercised a whole day nonstop to let all of those energy away. Of course, there will always something bad happen after that. When he exercised more, the more his energy grow, and when he stopped he will be like a bouncing ball. When he was 7 and his mother tried everything to stop it. He also noticed when he exercises, his body didn't give in after a whole day of it and can be used again for another round. The part of this ability is that his body can't be cut by anything. It happened when a steel knife dropped on his arm, but instead having been cut, it just simply bounced off like it was plastic. He then tried to punch a concrete wall and it left a fist mark on it when he punched it with full force, which means he can't feel any lower types of pain like a slap. But when he trains more he could probably endure a hit from a wrecking ball. His body can handle all of his constant training, which raises his power of his attacks and speed. Most importantly, he got a more powerful version of his mother's quirk, which lets him carry any heavy objects that his brain could handle. And his last ability is that he feel more stronger when he's under a full moon, and gave him some wolf-like traits. His teacher was probably talking that he was proud of his students, and he wished them good luck since Izuku knows that his whole class wants to be heroes. "Hey teach, don't lump me with this extras," a certain blonde boasted, followed by multiple angry remarks from his classmates. Katsuki Bakugo, his former best friend and his only rival. He still looked the same, but he was little by 2 meters. The only thing bad about him right now is his massive ego. When Izuku finally got his quirk, Katsuki constantly tried to challenge him. Well, it's more like a one-sided battle. Izuku's quirk gave him multiple body resistance, which made him a human tank. And added with his constant training, he could probably demolish a whole building with his bare fists and feet in a minute. So Izuku wear weights around his arms and legs to lessen his power to a more normal level rather than his mini tsunami causing punches. And I am not joking. He could then hear his classmates gasp as he heard the teacher talking about Katsuki going to the prestigious UA. And the blonde boasts that he would be the greatest. "You're not the only one. Mr. Midoriya is going there as well," the teacher said, which the class isn't surprised at all since Izuku was literally an unstoppable juggernaut. "Deku," Katsuki shouted in anger. "What?" Izuku asked with a raised eyebrow. That was also the side effect of his quirk. Apparently when he reached the age of 10, Zen gave him more confidence as it matches his unrivaled strength. "He is still annoying," Zen said to their new mental link. "I know, Zen," Izuku thought as he evaded a right hook. "You think you are better than me, show off," the blonde yelled as he was about to blast Izuku away. But the green-haired boy simply grabbed him by the collar of his uniform and threw him at the back of the room like he was a pencil, which knocked Katsuki out. "Sorry about that, sir," Izuku apologized to his teacher. "It's all right, you did it in self-defense anyway, but this is getting old," he said. It was true. Katsuki tried to outshine Izuku from the day he gained his quirk, but he was too powerful. The bell then rang as everyone packed up and went home. Izuku is now walking to his house by the underpass as he gave a confident smile on his smile. "So what do we do now, Zen?" Izuku asked. "You haven't reached your limits yet, boy. Go train some more," Zen said as he cut off the link so he could sleep. "Lazy wolf," Izuku thought in slight anger. They might have a good relationship, but they act like children. He quickly sensed something going to attack at him and jump up to the ceiling and dig in his fingers on the concrete to anchor himself. He then saw his attacker, which is a slime villain. Clueless, he thought as he held his breath. "Damn it, where is that brat?" the villain yelled as he tried to find to our protagonist. "Well, this will count as self-defense," he thought as he let go and landed on the hard ground without a single sound. "Lion's palm," Izuku shouted as he did a left palm thrust to the clueless villain. While the villain was cut off by a powerful force as his body splattered on the wall of the underpass, knocked out. "Still got it," Izuku said with a smile as he walked away. Unbeknownst to him, he just lost the biggest chance of his life. Minutes later, Katsuki is walking his way home as he looked very angry. Scratch that, murderous. He tried many times to beat Izuku, but even with his quirk, Izuku's was more stronger, less versatile, but it is much stronger than his. He couldn't shake off those thoughts and simply walk away. "What a perfect body," a creepy and dangerous said from his back as he was caught by the slime villain itself. "SHT, he said as he was being dragged away by the slimy man. Back with Izuku, he was in the city as his mother called him to buy some groceries. So he will now go home but with some groceries with him. But he heard explosion from the distance and saw smoke. "Boy, I felt someone you knew is in danger," Zen said. "It's Bakugo, isn't it?" he said. "Yes, it is him." Izuku could only sigh as he ran off with full speed to where the explosion occurred. He was literally running with the wind as he could feel it breeze past him as he looked like a blur to the people he ran past with. He finally reached his destination as he saw the destruction before him. There were fire everywhere with smoke rising to the sky. Heroes are trying to keep the civilians away. And most of all, the slime villain took Katsuki hostage. He then noticed 2 heroes that he remembered, Kamui Woods and Mount Lady. "Kamui Woods, Mount Lady," Izuku shouted to the 2 heroes, which they heard his call. "Hey little green." Mount Lady 𝐒𝐭𝐤𝐴𝐵 called out to him as Izuku ran up to them. "Hey kid, you can't just go near here," another hero said. "It's all right, 𝗧𝗵𝗲. We know this kid," 𝗂𝐬𝐫 said to other hero now named 𝗧𝗵𝗲. "He's from the incident from 10 years ago," you explained, which shocked the hero. "This is the kid you were talking about," he said in shock. "Permission to attack?" Izuku asked as he gave 𝗂𝐬𝐫 and Mount Lady a mock salute while the other heroes were shocked from the question. "Just don't go overboard, okay?" 𝗂𝐬𝐫 said. "Wait, what do you mean overboard?" 𝗧𝗵𝗲 asked in shock. Both heroes didn't need to answer as Izuku was already in a running position with a confident smirk on his face. "Minefield," Izuku said as his eyes began to glow. Everyone could feel the heat disappear as they saw the same glow on the flames as it was being pulled into the air. Then rocks came out of the ground as they float with the same glow. The same happened to Katsuki as he was forcefully pulled away from the slime villain's grip. Everyone except 𝗂𝐬𝐫 and Mount Lady were shocked to see such tremendous powers from a single boy while a frail blonde looked at Izuku with hope. "Deku," the blonde yelled. "Ricochet fist." Izuku yelled as he leaped forward with tremendous speed and force as he launched to the villain like a bullet. The villain smirked and said, "Easy." He launched some of his tendrils, but Izuku was so fast that the tendrils just got shredded from the force. "What?" the villain yelled in disbelief as he dodged him. This of course was a mistake as Izuku landed on one of the floating rocks and bounced of it. The villain dodged it again, but every time he did, Izuku just kept getting faster and faster every time he bounced off the rocks, which he looks like a blur to the naked eyes. And in an instant, Izuku immediately impacted the ground with his fist in blinding speed, which caused a large crater, and the slime villain is on the ground knocked out. That is still close to overboard. Mount Lady shouted as everyone looked at her like she was crazy. "Sorry," Izuku shouted. "Why did you let the boy fight it?" 𝗧𝗵𝗲 shouted as he was shaking 𝗂𝐬𝐫 around. "This gonna be long." After a long explanation, Izuku is on his way home again with the groceries, so he could enjoy some of his mother's cooking. 𝗂𝐬𝐫 and Mount Lady just explained to the other heroes that he has a free pass to assist heroes, with approval of course, to help Izuku have better control over his powers. "Deku, you nerd." Of course his musing ran short as Katsuki warhead Bakugo just come to ruin it. "Gosh darn it." Izuku those as he could only sigh. "Ask me why little boy here wants to be a hero." Zen asked. "Hey, don't ignore me, you little SHT. Katsuki shouted. "What?" Izuku said. "Don't you think saving me makes you greater? Because I am still better than you 𝐂𝐴𝐵. "Whatever you say," Izuku said as he left the blonde, who slightly cursed but left. He finally reached his house as he removed his shoes and went to the living room. "Mom, I'm home," Izuku called out as a plump green-haired woman entered the room. "Oh, you're finally home," the woman said. "Yeah, and I got the groceries," he said as he showed the bags. "So my little hero, what will you do now?" she asked as she took the bags of her son's hands. "Well, for one I need some warm milk. Already ready." "Well, for the other," he said as he gave a challenging look, "I'm gonna try beating my record. Entrance exam in class. It has been 10 months when the slime villain attacked. Izuku is now lifting barbells for 4 hours. For the past 10 months, he exercised over limits to prepare himself for the 𝐒𝐻 jogging, lifting weights, push-ups, sit-ups, stretching, etc. He did each 100 times. 100. During those months, he went to the Dagaba Municipal Beach Park to train there and clean it at the same time. Not even a single scrap of garbage was left on it when he finished because he carried it all to the local junkyard. His strength has grown 10 times more powerful. But with the help of a weight quirk user, Izuku is wearing 10 tons of weights around his limbs and he can still walk normally. So he's here right now in front of you as he waited for his friends Kyoka and Denki in his school uniform. He then saw Katsuki walking in the gates. So he said, "Yo Katsuki, shut up nerd." Katsuki yelled as he angrily walked past Izuku. Izuku just rolled his eyes as he kept waiting for his friends. "Yo Izuku." He was instantly happy as he saw his longtime friends. "Denki, Kyoka, I really missed you guys." Izuku called out as he gave the two a bone-crushing hug. "Zuzu Kyoka said weakly as both she and Denki are turning blue from the hug. "Oh sorry," Izuku said sheepishly as he let them go so they could catch their breath. "Well, we haven't seen each other for weeks, so we couldn't blame you," Kyoka said. "With that out of the way, are you guys ready to be new heroes in training?" Denki asked. "Heck yeah. Divided by who doesn't," Izuku said while Kyoka said sarcastically. "Well, let's get in then." Denki said. The trio walked in the building. Izuku was now in the exam grounds as he wore his new set of clothes. He is wearing a green shirt under a black hoodie with the kanji for body in red on his left shoulder and soul in violet on his right, black jogging pants, red fingerless gloves, and black boots. He looked around to see the other examiners and saw a nervous brunette, so he decided to help her calm down, but a glass-wearing teen intervened. "Excuse me," he said. "Yes, mate," Izuku said with a bored look along with a grin. "That girl appears to be concentrating. Are you trying to distract her?" he said sternly. Izuku then raised an eyebrow and said, "What are you talking about? She's actually nervous." The teen looked at the brunette and noticed that she was actually nervous, so he turned back to Izuku and said, "My apologies for accusing you. No water under the bridge, Izuku said as he cracked his neck, which gave a sickening loud crunch that made everyone cringe. Much better, Izuku said as he cracked his knuckles, which gave the same sickening crunch. Man, he's weird. Cocky son of a BTCH. What a weirdo. Izuku actually frowned at this as a menacing aura surrounds which shut up everyone, and he began to walk to the front as he went to a running position. Start, suddenly shouted by UA's teacher present Mike through the pause system. With everyone distracted, Izuku launched himself like a bullet as he punched a one-pointer into pieces. What's the matter? There is no countdown in a real battle. Go, 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 present Mike shouted. Everyone immediately then ran to the fake city as they beat down the robots. Back with Izuku, the green-haired boy kept destroying every robot in his path using many fighting styles that Zen provided. That's a 3-pointer, so that's 56 points, Izuku said when he chopped said robot in half. Meanwhile, in the observation room, every single teacher and staff of UA and its principal Nezu are watching everything on screen. We have a lively batch this year, Present Mike said. It kinda does, the R-rated hero, Midnight said. It's a troublesome bunch if you ask me, the Erasure hero, Eraserhead Aka Shota Aizawa said. Hey, check this kid out, Vlad King said as he points to a monitor that showed Izuku. Ah, the late bloomer. There are rumors that his quirk is equal to yours, All Might, Power Loader said, which shocked everyone. You're joking, right? 𝗧𝗵𝗄𝗏 asked. No, it's true, I have seen it firsthand, 13 assured while everyone was still shocked. This kid keep getting more interesting, the #1 hero, All Might thought. Well, start the real test, shall we? Nezu said as he pressed a big red button. That's 91, Izuku thought when he kicked another robot on its chassis as he was on top of a building. He passed and decided to let the others get some more points. But he got a gut feeling that something bad will happen. The ground then shook as he saw everyone down below looking around frantically at what caused the shaking. Izuku looked where it was and saw a giant robot coming near where the others are. The 0-pointer. Izuku yelled to everyone as he points at TBE robot. Everyone look at where he pointed and began to run in fear. Cowards, Zen said as Izuku couldn't help but agree, and he walked away. Help. Izuku immediately stopped. He looked down below and saw the brunette from earlier under some rubble. A hero's duty is never done, Izuku thought as he ran across the roof. As he was near the 0-pointer, he jumped off the roof as he cocked his fist back. God fist, Izuku shouted as he brought all of his strength to his fist, and punched the robot's head clean off as it got launched by Miles. Everyone was shocked from his powers as they slight shake from fear. Izuku then landed near the brunette as he lifted the large rubble with his bare hands with ease. Are you alright? Izuku asked with a smile as he reached out his hand. The brunette could only look at him with admiration as she could see a bright behind him that made him look like he was a real hero. I am fine, she stuttered as she grabbed his hand, and Izuku pulled her up. The test is over, Present Mike shouted, but Izuku could clearly hear the shock in his tone. Well then, he said with a smile as he saw Recovery Girl walking to them. Oh, hello there, Zuku, Recovery Girl greeted. Nice see you again, Recovery Girl, Izuku said. Likewise, now what's the problem here? She asked as she began to heal everyone, and they went home. Izuku is now in his house as he ate dinner with his mother. He was confident that he will pass since he got a lot of points, and he felt good saving TBE brunette. I can't wait to be a hero, Mom, Izuku said as he took a bite of his fish. You might, sweetie, and I know you are excited to see your two friends again, 𝐭𝐸 said. Yeah, I do, he said as he took another bite. They then heard the doorbell rang as 𝐭𝐸 went to it to know it is. I really can't wait to be hero, Izuku thought. Be patient, boy, you'll get there eventually, and you might see your purple-haired mate, Zen said with a smirk as Izuku blushed at the thought. Zen, we are just friends. I mean, she is pretty and all. You're ruining my mind, Izuku mentally yelled as he now resembles a tomato. Izuku, it's here, his mother suddenly shouted from the door as he saw her running to him with an envelope on her hand. Really? Izuku shouted in glee as he grabbed the envelope and went to his room. As he entered his room, there are multiple All Might figure in posters and multiple workout equipments. Please, 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 Izuku said as he opened the letter, and a small medallion dropped from inside as a projection of an insomniac man came in view. You passed the test. Congratulations. Izuku gave a huge smile as he felt proud for himself. Your class will be 1A, so don't be late, the projection said as it shuts down, and Izuku then began to jump in joy. It is now the day he will start his hero career as he finished putting on his uniform and packing up his school supplies. And his mother is checking his bag by the door. So tissues, check. Handkerchief, check. Are your weights okay? Yes, Mom, I gotta go, Izuku said as he ran outside to the beginning of his journey. I'm proud of you, Izuku, 𝐭𝐸 shouted. I know, Mom, Izuku shouted back even when he was literally far away. 1A. 1A, Izuku muttered as he zoomed in the halls of UA to find his classroom. He then stopped as he saw the sign for his class, and saw the enormous door in front of him. Dang, must be for quirks that makes people tall, Izuku said as he opened the door, and sweat drops as he couldn't believe his luck. It was Katsuki with his feet on the top of the desk. and the stern boy he met from the exam is arguing with him. Oh boy, Izuku thought. Zuku over here. Izuku went back to being happy as he saw Denki and Kyoka waving at him. Kyoka, Denki, Izuku shouted as he waved back, but caught the stern boy's attention. Greetings, my name is 𝗧𝗵𝗲. I came from 𝗧𝗵𝗲 Private School, and I apologize from what I said in the exam, the now named 𝗧𝗵𝗲 said as he bowed. Like I said before, it's water under the bridge. Your school probably gave you this kind of tips, so I won't mind, Izuku assured. Ah, it's you, One Punch Boy. Izuku turned around and saw the brunette from the exams. Oh hi there, Izuku simply said as he gave her his signature grin. You were so cool. You just came out of nowhere and punched the 0-pointer's head like it was nothing. The brunette praised. Hey Zuzu, who is this? Kyoka asked as she and Denki walk over to them. Oh, I saved her from getting ran over by the 0-pointer, Izuku said bluntly and got his ear pulled by Kyoka. Don't say it like that, you idiot, she yelled. Oh, sorry, Izuku shouted in pain. Oh, the name's Ochako Uraraka, the brunette said as the two stopped from what they are doing. If you're here to find friends, then leave, an unknown voice said to them. The five of them looked, and Izuku immediately recognized who it was. It was the guy from the projection, as said man was laying on the ground in a yellow sleeping bag. You look like a caterpillar, Izuku again said it bluntly as Kyoka pulled his ear again. The man ignored Izuku as he went to the desk on the front as he opened his sleeping bag and stood up. I'm your homeroom teacher, Shota Aizawa. Pleasure to meet you, the man greeted in a tired tone. Everyone were creeped out, but Izuku wasn't bothered. Aizawa then took out a PE uniform from his sleeping bag. Wear these immediately, and then go to the PE grounds, he said as he passed more of the uniforms. No one hesitated as they immediately went to their locker room to change their clothes. Everyone was now on the PE grounds. AMD are wearing their uniforms. A quirk apprehension test. Everyone yelled in confusion. What about the ceremony and the guidance counselor's meeting? Ochako said in worry. If you want to be heroes, we don't have time for that, he said as he not even looked at her. You all understand the school's reputation for freedom on campus. Well, that goes for us teachers as well. He then explained that the tests are based on sporting tests, but quirks are being allowed. He then pulled a tablet from his pocket and said, Mr. Midoriya, how far could you throw a softball in middle school? 1 kilometer long, Izuku bluntly said as he got some weird looks from everyone except for his two friends. Without your quirk, Aizawa said. Yeah, 1 kilometer, Izuku said as it shocked his classmates and angered Katsuki. Give it a go, but use your quirk. Also stay in the circle, he said as he gave Izuku the ball, and he stood away a little. Izuku then stood in the circle as he stretched his arms, which gave a sickening crunch as everyone cringed. He then reeled in his arm and held the ball hard. As he threw the ball, it was launched in immense speed and created a sonic boom as everyone could feel wind being swept away. Aizawa then looked at his tablet and was shocked. He showed the results to the entire class, and they were also shocked at the result. Izuku just threw the ball in 4 kilometers. Dang, I still need more training, I guess, Izuku said as he wasn't really surprised. Well, that was cool. That was amazing. This is gonna be fun. Fun ho, Aizawa said as the whole class felt a chill on their spines. Be careful, boy, Zen said. Alright, Zen, Izuku thought. Well, you said that this is fun. Then the one and last will be expelled, Aizawa said as everyone was shocked and scared. Hey, that's not fair, an invisible girl said. She shouldn't have said that, Zen said. Fair, he said in a stern tone as everyone stiffened. Natural disasters, dangerous villains, big accidents. These will happen on any time. Do you call those fair? No, the job of a hero aren't always be a good time, so don't expect it to be easy. The world is a much harsher place than you think, and learning them in this school will give you more hardships. Don't you know the school's motto? Plus ultra. Aizawa then smirked. You want to be heroes. Then overcome those hardships and rise up. If you fall, just rise up with your own powers. You aren't here to be babies that needs to be protected, so step up and show me what you got. Others were quivering in fear, but Izuku was determined. First was the 50 meters dash as everyone was finished, and Izuku and Katsuki were left to participate. Start. Then the both of them ran and stopped at the end with Izuku suddenly was on the finish, and Katsuki by seconds. 0, 9 seconds 4, 13 seconds. The others were shocked from the green-haired boy's speed while Kyoka and Denki cheered for him. Do you know about this? A short boy with purple hair asked in fear. Yeah man, we know Izuku when we are kids. And he trained his body for years, Denki said as he continued to cheer for his friend. The grip strength is next as Izuku put away his weights on his arms as he clutched the machine very hard and accidentally broke it and got a 1,000 kilograms. Whoa, what are you, a robot? A boy with tape dispenser like elbows asked in shock. No, Izuku said bluntly. You are paying for that, Aizawa said as Izuku rubbed his head sheepishly. The standing long jump is next as Izuku cleared it easily because of his countless jogging to have the proper leg strength. Izuku also completed the repeated sidestep easily in seconds, and the purple-haired boy used his quirk for the exercise. It was the ball throw again. And Izuku pouted when Ochako beat his score by making her ball weightless and got infinity as her score. It was probably in space by now. Then it was followed by sit-ups, seated toe touch, and lastly the long distance, which Izuku finished in second. As everything was done, Aizawa showed them their scores. "Alright, I got first." Izuku cheered. "Not yet, kid," Aizawa said. "What?" Izuku asked in shock. "You didn't go all out," Aizawa said. "Well, I really can't control my strength really, so I always wear weights," Izuku explained. "Well, show us what you can really do in the ball throw again without your weights," Aizawa said as Izuku shrugged. Izuku then removed his weights on his arms and let it drop on the ground and caused cracks when it landed. It must be really heavy. This kid got potential, Aizawa thought. Izuku then grabbed a ball and threw it with more of his power, as the class could have sworn they heard the sound barrier break 3 times. Aizawa then showed the result and it said 50 kilometers. "That guy's a monster," the purple-haired boy screamed in fear. "You truly earned that place, kid," Aizawa said as a smile was hidden from his scarf. "Deku," Katsuki yelled as he yelled at him. But Aizawa immediately wrapped his scarf around him and his eyes are now red. "I should have known that you are the Erasure Hero." "Eraserhead, sir," Izuku said as everyone were confused from the name. "You did your homework, kid." "Nice job," Aizawa praised as he let the now calmed blonde go. "So I'm gonna be expelled?" the purple-haired boy asked. "No," Aizawa said, which made him relieve, but he wasn't finished. "You are changing courses." "What?" he shouted. Izuku then tried to make the boy feel better by saying, "You see, you clearly didn't give it you all, so he's sending you to another course so you can improve." "But what if I can't?" he asked as he cried. Izuku kneeled down to the boy's level and said, "You can just don't give up, don't let anyone let you down, so next time give it your all." The boy wiped his tears as he gave him a determined look and said, "You're right, I must get stronger." Izuku's classmates look at him in admiration, and Aizawa smirk as he saw true potential. "Alright, I'm bringing you to the principal and get you a course you can enter," Aizawa said as he walked away. "Yes, sir," the boy shouted as he followed him. Kyoka then walked up to Izuku and said, "You were great back there, Zuzu." "Really?" Izuku said as he has a slight blush on his face. "You like her," Zen said, like a certain useless flying cat. "Shut it," Izuku thought, which made Zen laugh. "Alright, we're gonna be heroes," Denki shouted as everyone cheered as well. Izuku saw this and smiled as he felt that this gonna be an interesting year. New green student and battles. It was a new day for class 1 as everyone were seated as they talked with each other and waited for their teacher Aizawa. Izuku along with Kyoka and Denki are sitting next to each other to talk. "Man, Zuku, that was awesome," Denki said. "It was nothing. I just followed my heart to do what's right," Izuku said. "Still, you were great," Kyoka said with a smile as she twirled her jacks. "Gosh, she's beautiful," Izuku thought with a slight blush. "Still a no," Zen said as he smirked. "Shut it. So what do you think will happen today?" Denki asked. "We'll wait and see," Izuku said. "Everyone sit down. Mr. Aizawa is coming," Ida called out to everyone as they gone back to their seats. Aizawa then entered the room with a bored look as he went to his desk. "Alright everyone, today you will have a new classmate joining us since what happened yesterday," he said. "Can I come in now?" A female voice called out from outside, which caused Izuku to pale. "Oh no, it's her," he thought in horror. Aizawa could only sigh and said, "You can now." The door then opened as a tan girl entered the room with the same uniform as the others. Her hair was green and was styled in a bob cut and her eyes were a green emerald. "Hey there, the name's 𝗵𝗲 Midoriya," the girl said as everyone looked to Izuku. "As she's my cousin," Midoriya stuttered as the girl named 𝗵𝗲 looked at him. "Izuku," she shouted as she ran up to him. "Wait, don't," Izuku yelled as he was tackled by her own cousin. "𝗵𝗲," Kyoka and Denki called out. "Kyoka, Den," 𝗵𝗲 called out in glee as she now sat on Izuku's back. "Damn it, why do you still call me that?" Denki yelled angrily. "Why should I?" she said smugly. "𝗵𝗲, get off," Izuku said as he struggled to get her off, even with his incredible strength. "Well, Kuz, I am staying here to learn till I graduate, and you can't stop me." "𝗵𝗲, enough," Aizawa said as he gave her his infamous glare, which made her nervous. "Yes, sir," she said as she stood up. Aizawa could only sigh and said, "As you can see, your new classmate is 𝗵𝗲 Midoriya. She is here to learn as well to be hero, and introduce yourselves to each other while you're at it." He then grabbed his sleeping bag and sleep. "Yes, sir," the class said as they resumed their class. "You already know their names, so skip them." The whole class introduced themselves and leaving Izuku and 𝗵𝗲 to introduce their own. "The name's Izuku Midoriya. My quirk is called Yin Yang. It gives my body incredible endurance and stamina and telekinesis. I like to train, Katsuden, and my friends, but I hate bullies," Izuku said with his grin. "So my name is 𝗵𝗲 Midoriya and I live in Brazil. I am half Japanese and half Brazilian, with my mom being Japanese. My quirk is called Paradise. It gives me the utmost control over plants and I can talk and command animals. I like to play football, chocolates, and teasing Den over there," 𝗵𝗲 said smugly as she points at Denki. "𝗵𝗲, you jerk," Denki yelled in anger as Kyoka could only laugh at him. She has a nice laugh, Izuku thought. You know this isn't helping your claim, right? Zen said. When they finally finish, everyone were back on studying and learning from their teachers, but Denki could only suffer when Marcia kept teasing him. It was now for their foundational hero studies, and everyone felt excited. The door of their homeroom opened as this only be a blessing to Izuku's eyes. Standing there on a running position is none other than the greatest and powerful hero of all time. The #1 hero, All Might, coming through the door like a normal person. Everyone let out cheers and looks of admiration, but Izuku took it a little further. Izuku walked in front and kneeled as he had his notebook on his hands and shouted, "Can I have your autograph, please?" Everyone could only sweat drop while Kyoka has her eye twitching from annoyance. He looked like he was proposing. But All Might didn't feel weirded out and laugh it off as he signed the notebook. "You are an idiot," Zen said, but Izuku just ignored him. Izuku's eye sparkled from the signed notebook as he gave off an aura of happiness, instead of his malicious one, which made the girls in his class look at him as they adore his cute face. "Back off, that's my man," Kyoka thought angrily till she blinked in confusion. "Where did that come from? For today's class we will be having," he said as he flexed and held a card in a heroic way. "A battle trial." "Battle," Katsuki said sinisterly. "Trial," Izuku said with a raised eyebrow, but was excited. "And to get you started," he said as he clicked a remote and multiple shelves instantly opened with cases in them. "We have your costumes to your expectations." The class already felt excited. "Now gear up and head to Ground B," he said as the class took their cases. "And remember, from here on out you're all heroes," he said proudly as everyone smiled. Everyone went to the lockers and changed to their costumes as they were excited to begin. Everyone were now in Ground B in their hero costumes, except for the Midoriyas. Everyone except Izuku are in their same costumes. "Man, Zuku must be taking his time," Denki said. "Are you worried?" Momo asked. "Nah, I'm worried to how much the property damage will be," he said, which scared some of his classmates, especially when he can carry things that is twice his size. Kyoka said, "Sorry, we're late." They then heard Izuku's voice calling out to them, "Don't forget about me." They also heard Marcia. They then saw them walking to them in their hero costumes. Izuku is wearing a green gi with the sleeves ripped off, bandages on his arms, and a red bandana on his head. And Marcia is wearing a green carnival-style costume along with bracelets on her arms and high heels. "Well, you guys look cool," Kirishima said. "Thanks, but this isn't the final product yet," Izuku said as he got some questioning looks. "Well, my quirk keeps making my body stronger to the maximum, and I need stronger materials." Literally, Zuku. "I still remembered that you carried all of those garbage in Dagaba in a single month," Denki said, which got some shock looks. "Wait, you were the rumored green juggernaut that is said to have the strength equivalent to All Might," Zero shouted. "Well damn, I just feel sorry for any villains he come across," Sato said. Elsewhere, a teen with a hand on his face suddenly sneezed and didn't know why. "Yep, that's me, and I'm still getting stronger," Izuku said as he gave them a thumbs up like a certain youthful duo. "Quit showing off, Zuzu," Kyoka said as she gently punched him on his shoulder. "I'm liking everyone's styles." All Might then arrived as everyone quickly asked some question to him, which made the muscular blonde recoil from the onslaught of questions. "Hey, one at a time," he yelled as everyone stopped. He then coughed on his hand and get some papers in his hand. "Notes," Izuku thought in confusion while Zen understood quite a bit. All Might then explained that they will have to secure or protect a fake bomb with one team protecting the bomb and the other to secure it, but there was a time limit. He then said that the teams are chosen by lottery. "Is that how we'll do it?" Tenya asked in shock. "Well, put it like this, Ada," Izuku said. "Suddenly an attack or an accident happened and heroes are needed there immediately, and they need to use what they have to stop it." "All I understand now. Thank you, Midoriya," Tenya said as he bowed. "Anytime," Izuku said as he put his hands on the back of his head. "Also, I apologize, All Might," Tenya said as he also bowed to All Might. With a thumbs up, All Might said, "Well, let's start." Everyone then got the name of their teammates from the box with Izuku going last. "Cool, I got Kyoka," Izuku said till he get bonked on the head. "Pull yourself, Suzu," the voice of Kyoka said as Izuku looked behind him and saw her. "Sorry," Izuku said sheepishly. "Alright, first up is Team A being heroes and Team D being villains." All Might said as Izuku and Kyoka saw they were Team A and they were competing. Katsuki and Tenya, who were Team D. Katsuki could grin maliciously at the chance to beat Izuku. But the green juggernaut didn't really care and focused more on the objective. Izuku and Kyoka were now waiting outside the building that they will enter to plan ahead. "So how do we do this, Suzu?" Kyoka asked as she twirled her jacks. "Well, we can't let you use your jacks when little boy can make you deaf," Izuku said as he referred to the grouchy blonde Katsuki. Kyoka chuckled from their resident bully's nickname and said, "Well, how do we do this then? Remember Operation G.S.?" Izuku said with a devious smile as Kyoka did her own as she knows where this is going. Meanwhile, Tenya tried to reason Katsuki to not go alone, but the blonde can't be reasoned at all as Katsuki already left to find our green-haired protagonist. May Midoriya give you mercy after you are taken down, Tenya said in worry as he prepared the bomb himself. Meanwhile, the other students and All Might are in the surveillance room as they watch the two teams on screen. Izuku already win this, Denki said. You can't really be sure, Momo said. Then you don't know him at all. Really, I think he will just go through a wall and end this, Mina said. Zuku's intelligence is equal to his strength. He always got a plan in mind. And I think they are using Operation GS. Denki said. What's that? Hiroshima asked. Gecko-style infiltration. And yes, it is funny, Denki said as everyone could only chuckle. They then saw the two teams are already starting. Back with Izuku and Kyoka, the two were in front of the building that they are about to enter. Kyoka, hold on, Izuku said as Kyoka jumped in his back. Izuku then walked onto the wall as he pierced it with his fingers and did it again to climb up. I hope they don't notice us immediately, Kyoka said in worry as they are near the third floor. If I was little boy, he could already onto us, Izuku said. What did you call me, 𝐂𝐴𝐵𝗃𝗃? Oh, here he is, Izuku said as he pulled himself up with his strength to go higher and to avoid the explosion that was about to hit them. Get back here, Deku. They then saw Katsuki poking out his head out of the window as he cursed and fired explosions at them. Kyoka, I'm dropping you off at the top. I need to take care of little boy from below, Izuku said. Just don't be reckless, you idiot, Kyoka said as Izuku could only chuckle. I won't. They then reached the top as Kyoka let go and Izuku climbed back down. Be careful, Zuzu, Kyoka said in worry as she went for the door. On the fourth floor, Katsuki is stalking around to find his prey as his gauntlets gave out sparks. Where are you, Deku? He yelled as he continued to move till he felt someone tapping his shoulder from behind. Right here, he heard Izuku's voice and quickly turned around, but his face met the green-haired boy's fist as Katsuki was sent back to a wall. What's wrong, little boy? Did you stumble over a love tap? Izuku taunted as the walking TNT growled at him. Eat us, HT. He yelled as he fired another blast to the green juggernaut only for Izuku to dodge it with ease. Gong! Izuku shouted as he beat his chest like a gorilla, which gave off a loud resonating sound that pushed the blonde from the force of the sound itself. Bakugo groaned from the pain as he tried to shake it off and could only glare at Izuku. You still haven't let go for many years, have you, 𝐭𝐻𝐿? Izuku asked. Like hell I will ever let you get the spotlight, you piece of SHT. Katsuki yelled, which Izuku frowned upon as he could only shook his head. Then I will have to open your eyes to the truth, he said as his menacing aura surrounds him as Katsuki and the ones watching could have sworn they saw glowing eyes from the aura. Armor, Izuku shouted as his muscles tensed up and looked more tougher as he flexed his arms. Everyone could have sworn that they heard something tightening and saw the top of his gi couldn't handle the strain, and was ripped open to show his adness like abs to everyone. The girls, except for Marcia, in the surveillance room are either embarrassed or shamelessly looking on Izuku's good-looking body with deep blushes on their faces. Hello, handsome, Mina said as she was slightly drooling along with Toru. Meanwhile, the boys, except for Denki, were jealous of his body as they couldn't possibly hope on getting that perfect body Denki could only facepalm while All Might look in interest. Back with Izuku and Katsuki, the building then starts to rumble from the pressure that Izuku exerts from his aura as he looked more serious than before. Face my wrath, arrow. Izuku then appeared in front of Katsuki and delivered a knife hand on the blonde's stomach, which he lowered his power to not kill him. The force of the attack sent the blonde to a wall as he coughed and groaned from the pain. Izuku immediately appeared in front of him with his leg raised up as he shouted, axe. Izuku then dropped his leg on the blonde, but Katsuki rolled away from the attack, which caused the floor to have a hole on it. Deku, the blonde yelled as he fired an explosion at Izuku, but the blast didn't affect the green-haired boy and only angered him. Meanwhile, Kyoka was hiding beside the door of where the objective is as she felt the building shaking. Zuzu is taking this rather seriously, she thought as she couldn't blame him. Katsuki Bakugo was an enormous jerk. Well, let's test my new gear. She then got some small disc from her pockets as she put it on the middle of her fingers like they are shuriken. She threw them at the unexpected Tenya and covered her ears as the disc released an ear-deafening sound which stuns him. She quickly ran for the fake bomb till the building shakes like it was in an earthquake. Damn, he's really serious, she thought as she wobbled to the bomb with Tenya trying to stand up. Back with Izuku, he was clearly pummeling his former best friend to the inch of his life, but Katsuki kept stubbornly stand up to show his strength. Well, this will end this, Izuku said as he jumped back. Like hell, Katsuki shouted as he subconsciously pulled the pin from his gauntlets as Izuku jumped back more. Katsuki then pulled the pin, which unleashed a powerful explosion, but Izuku jumped forward, heads first, with the speed of a bullet as he pierced through the blast, and headbutt Katsuki on his stomach. Cannon, Izuku shouted as the blonde was sent back to the wall in an instant. Katsuki roared in pain as he could feel his muscles ready to give up from the beating, but he doesn't want to. Izuku then bounced off the walls beside him and became a blur again as Katsuki tried to blast the green-haired boy again. Izuku saw this and bounced at the end of the corridor and bounced off it as he shouted, "Railgun." He then zoomed through the corridor with his fist aimed at the blonde as he pierced through the blast again, and hit Katsuki on the chest. The blonde struggled to stand as he was now on the ground face first as he could only growl in pain and rage. "And that is it," Izuku said as he began to walk away, but Katsuki weakly grabbed his opponent's leg. "Not yet," he said in pain as he clutched Izuku's leg tightly. Izuku could only shook his head and continued to walk away with his former best friend being dragged along. "The objective has been captured. Hero team wins," All Might announced as everyone calmed down and Izuku smiled for his teammate. But Katsuki was still on the floor in shock and anger as he could only lay there in defeat. "This conquest of yours is foolish," Izuku said as he left the fuming blonde alone. Then Izuku, Kyoka, and Tenya, who's carrying Katsuki over his shoulder, entered the surveillance room as Denki and Marcia ran up to their friend's cousin as they congratulated the two along with the rest of the class. "I knew you would win it," Denki said as he placed his arm around Izuku's neck. "You were manly," Kirishima shouted with a grin. "Your body is amazing," Mina said with slight lust as her hands are reaching out for Izuku's bare, ripped body creepily. But Momo slapped her hands away, but she was also blushing. "She means your performance," Momo said to avoid any awkwardness with the class. "Well, Izuku did most of the heavy work," Kyoka said as she playfully punched Izuku on his shoulder. "Well, you did capture the weapon," he said as he nudged her. Kyoka could only roll her eyes and chuckle. Ochako went near Denki and whispered to his ear, "Are they a thing?" Denki shrugged and said, "I think so, but I don't think they even notice yet." Ochako could only blink and shrug from the answer as she watched the two compliment each other. All Might then asked who was MVP and everyone said it Izuku for being strong, but All Might said no and said that they are missing something. Momo then intervened that Izuku kept a cool head during the battle and knows to hold back his power, and helped his partner in the mission as she also said that Tenya was also MVP for being cool-headed as well and tried to plan. But during Katsuki's rebellion, he did it all alone. All Might congratulated for her observation but was mentally shocked as Momo said it better. Everyone then went back to their lockers to change and went back to class. Class has ended as Izuku began to walk home with some groceries in hand. And with his weights are switched with UA's gravity weights that can change the total weight with a turn of a knob. He could whistle as he passed the streets till someone bumped to him. He looked who it was and it was a little girl with white hair, red eyes, and a single horn in a raggy dress looking at him wide-eyed. Izuku could only look in curiosity and asked, "Are you okay?" The girl could only tremble till a man came out of an alleyway which gave Izuku bad vibes. Very bad vibes. The horned girl and USJ Izuku was now standing face to face with the man in front of him as the little girl hides behind the young juggernaut in fear. "Thank you, you fine little Eri, so can I take her to get her home?" the man asked, but Izuku didn't believe it one bit as the girl Eri was trembling behind him and noticed the scars on her body, which made him angry. "How about no?" he said till he instantly appeared in front of the man, who was shocked from the young boy's speed, and said, "Axe." Izuku then delivered a powerful axe kick that brought the man down in one hit, and a small crater is created when the attack reached the ground. Izuku then looked at the down man and went to Eri as he embraced her protectively. "Don't worry, bad man will never touch you again," Izuku said as he felt the little girl starts to cry on his shoulder. "Let's take you home," Izuku said as he placed the groceries on his mouth and gave Eri a piggyback ride and ran off to his house. Izuku finally got home as he opened up the door and dropped off the groceries on the floor, and saw his mother setting the table. "Mom," Izuku called out. "Oh Izuku, who is that girl?" Inko asked in shock as she saw the little girl on his son's back. "She's being chased by a man that gives my guts a bad feeling," Izuku said as Inko could only nod. Her son's gut feeling were never wrong as she first witnessed it when Izuku dragged her away to their favorite restaurant and the place suddenly get robbed. And the second time when an anvil, who even have those in this timeline, suddenly fall right under her, but her son immediately pulled her away. "Why didn't you take her to the hospital?" she asked till she noticed the little girl flinched. "I said the same thing to her when I ran here, and she was terrified," Izuku said. "Well, we can ask the heroes about this," she said. "Then the one that is taking care of her might find out," he pointed out. Well, she thought about it then said, "We can take care of her." Izuku was of course shocked, but he couldn't deny that the little was too adorable to say no. "Pedophile," Zen said. "Shut up," Izuku thought angrily. "Of course we can, Mom," he said with a smile as he let down the girl, but she immediately ran behind him. "Don't worry, she won't hurt you. She's my mom," Izuku assured as Eri slightly peeked to see the older woman waving at her. "Hello," she said quietly but still can be heard as both mother and son clutched their chests like they had a heart attack. Cute, both of them thought as they let the girl get used to their house, let her join their dinner, and let her sleep on the floor in Izuku's room in a futon. Izuku could only smile at the little girl's sleeping form as he let himself be affected by the Sandman's sand of slumber. Izuku is on his way to school till he noticed a mob of reporters blocking the entrance. He kinda hate the news as they wouldn't leave him alone when he did some of his extreme exercise around his hometown, and he decided to jump over them. Zuzu. He then heard Kyoka's voice and saw his classmates being swarmed by the reporters. Izuku could only sigh as jumped back outside and shouted to the reporters, "Hey, over here." The reporters heard him and one of them shouted, "Hey, it's that boy." Izuku then began to run as the mob of reporters chased him, which leaves his classmates safe and sound. That was quick. They then heard their homeroom teacher's voice and saw him standing near the gate. "Will you help him?" Ochako asked, which Aizawa shrugged at. "The problem child can handle it. He might outrun them and make it in time," he said as the class followed him to their room. As the Izuku's classmates and teacher reached their classroom, said green-haired boy was outside the room on the locked window as he will not open it with force or he would pay for the damage. Aizawa then opened the window, which let Izuku go inside as they begin the class. It was quite normal if you ask me, as everyone are reading notes while some were sleeping from boredom till it was time for the lesson to end, as everyone were now chatting with each other. Izuku's circle of friends also increased, with Momo, Tenya, and Ochako joining the group as they exchanged their numbers and talk about some of their old days. "So I was just going to the docks with Kyoka and Denki, and a yacht owner was having trouble with his boat as the chains of the anchor was rusted, so I helped by breaking it with my hands," Izuku said as his new friends clapped in amazement. "The tales I heard of your power are quite fascinating, Midoriya, and I truly believed them when I laid eyes on you," Ada said, with Momo and Ochako nodding in agreement. "But Zuzu is really kind and noble, so you can be friends with to guide you," Kyoka said as she chuckled when the said boy is blushing in embarrassment. "Don't praise him, he might faint on the spot," Marcia teased as Izuku could only glare to his cousin. "Shut it, Marcia," Izuku said angrily as he crossed his arms, which made his friends laugh at him. "Oh, I also heard from Aunt and Co that I have another cousin," Marcia said as Kyoka and Denki got interested. "Really, Zuzu?" Kyoka asked. "Yeah, I saved her after I knocked out a guy with a beak-shaped mask and decided to adopt her," he explained. "A little girl, how does she look?" Ochako asked as Izuku showed them a picture of a sleeping Eri on his phone that he took last night. Least to say, the three girls squealed at how cute she was, which caught the others' attention and saw the picture of Eri, and the rest of the girls also squealed. "She's adorable," Tora said as she gushed at the photo. "You're so manly, Midabro," Ijiro shouted with manly tears till Aizawa gave them a serious look. "All right now, grades aside, there is another you lot need to do," he said as the whole class tensed up, so he continued, "You need to choose a class president and a vice president." "So normal," everyone exclaimed. Everyone then began to try to persuade each other to take the spot, with Tenya trying to calm down the whole class to choose the right path for selection. But Izuku was quite nervous since he couldn't handle such responsibility. He might be strong, smart, and a pure of heart, but he was not a good leader to something that isn't hero-related. He just hoped that he wasn't chosen and everything will be good, right? Wrong. Midoriya, 3. Momo, 2. Tenya, 1. Izuku could only look in shock as he began to hyperventilate with Kyoka, Denki, and Marcia as the class looked at him in worry. "Sorry, that kinda shocked him since this is kinda new to him," Kyoka said. "What do you mean?" Momo asked. "Well, Zuku is a late bloomer, a boy who developed their quirk a year late, so he was kinda antisocial to everyone when he was 4, and people are kinda scared of his quirk to have him those kind of responsibilities, which made Zuku kinda scared of letting everyone down," Denki explained as the class could nod dumbly as everyone except Katsuki are saddened for their classmates' childhood. "Well, since Midoriya couldn't take the position, Miss Yaoyorozu will be class president and Mr. Ada will be vice president," Aizawa said as Izuku immediately calmed down, which made his other classmates happy, so they decided to help him with his problems. It was now lunchtime as Class 1 are enjoying their favorite food, with Izuku having a bowl of pork cutlet and Marcia having kebabs. "Glad that was over," Izuku said as he took another bite. "Well, we're sorry that we didn't know," Momo said. "It's fine, I'm still glad that I'm not a part of it. Anyway, Ida, why are you still sad?" Ochako asked the downtrodden Tenya. "Well, I still can't believe that someone voted me," he said. "Oh, that was me," Izuku said as Tenya could only look at him with shock and happiness. "I thank you, Midoriya, for it," he said as he bowed to Izuku. "Like I said, water under the bridge. We know," Denki, Kyoka, and Marcia said at the same time as they look at the depressed male Midoriya with teasing smiles. "You guys are mean," he whined as his friends could only laugh at him. "Oh, quit whining, you are a man, right?" Kyoka said as Izuku could only grumble at them. "Being angry doesn't solve this," Tenya said as his arms have gone to a chopping motion as Ochako tried to hold her laughter along with Marcia. "Well, your hero costume is very obvious," Izuku rebutted as Tenya looked at him in shock. "Really? What do you mean by obvious?" Ochako asked. "I watched the news and the internet too many times, so I didn't miss a single information," Izuku said as Tenya could rub the back of his head in nervousness. "Your eyes are sharp as always, Midoriya," And yes, my brother is the pro hero in 𝗔𝗵𝗵. At first glance, I can already guess because of the similarities, Izuku said as he chuckled. You're kinda right though. I saw it as well, 𝐒𝐽𝐽𝐻 said as Momo and Denki nods in agreement. Say, does your brother has some single sidekicks? Marcia asked smugly as Tenya could only look at her mortified as he began to scold the female Midori. The group could only laugh with each other not until the alarm began to resonate and everyone began to panic and pushed each other to the doors. Izuku immediately grabbed hold on 𝗂𝐽𝐽𝐻 and Denki and jumped on top of the table along with Momo, Ochako, Marcia, and Tenya. What the heck happened? Marcia yelled as she saw their other classmates being squashed by the crowd. It's the reporters again, Izuku shouted as he points outside the window, and they saw the reporters outside. How did they get in? Momo asked as she was confused along with the others. There's a gate that separates the students to unwanted guests, but the question is who let them in? Yaoyorozu, make me a megaphone, Tenya said as Momo nods and made him a megaphone. Het then faced Ochako and said, Uraraka, make me float. Ochako nods and used her quirk on her classmate as Tenya slowly floats up. Everyone look outside, it's just the press, Tenya shouted through the megaphone as the other students stopped and looked outside as they indeed saw the mob of reporters and calmed down. The gang also calmed down as Ochako undid her quirk on Tenya as they now sit in relief. I could have had ended it myself, but you were faster. So nice job, Vice Rep, Izuku said as Tenya could only smile from friends' praise. So they continued eating their lunch till their class will start, but Izuku was worried as he got that feeling again. Meanwhile outside, Nezu and Aizawa were looking at the source of the reporters' break-in. The gate is disintegrated to dust. I have a bad feeling about this, Aizawa said to the principal. I know, Aizawa. I am also worried because of this, so I proposed the double of security around here, Nezu said as Aizawa could only nod in agreement. Something bad will happen very soon. While the whole shenanigans are happening, Izuku went inside his mindscape and saw it being better. The tree was now much larger with a single house on it, and multiple necessities around it. Izuku looked at it with a smile till he felt someone nudging him. He turned around and saw Zen, who was twice as large, sitting beside him with curiosity on his eyes. You felt it as well, boy? Zen asked. Yeah, something bad will happen very soon, Izuku said as he continued to look at the horizon. Do you think that you are prepared for this? I might not be yet, Zen, but I will prepare myself, Izuku said as he left the mindscape with Zen sitting on the same spot. Be careful, boy, he said till he's shaking as his fur turned black but went back to its original color. Damn it, it's almost time. The boy needs to be ready quickly. He then ran to the tree and rest. It is now a new day as the class were waiting for their teacher Aizawa. What do you think will happen today? Ochako asked. Maybe something exciting, Marcia suggested. Time could only tell, 𝗂𝐽𝐽𝐻 said. True, we must wait for it, Tenya said. I guess, Izuku said as he was focused on his notebook as his two best friends and cousin were worried about him. 𝗂𝐽𝐽𝐻 was about to say something, but Aizawa suddenly entered the room as everyone went back to their seats. All right, everyone, we have something special today, and we need you all to be prepared, Aizawa said. For you troublesome bunch are doing rescue training with me, All Might, and another teacher coming along. The class were either nervous or excited for that type of class, since some have unreliable quirks for this types of thing and some rather fight. You can either wear your hero costumes or your PE uniform. When you are done, let's go outside, he said as the class were gone to change to their costumes. Everyone were now outside with a bus nearby as everyone were there chatting with each other when they are waiting for Aizawa. Mina meanwhile was taking quick glances to Izuku as she drooled when she thought about his perfect body, but stopped when she saw 𝗂𝐽𝐽𝐻 glaring at her. I sense a crush here, she thought as she rubbed her hands maniacally. Hey 𝗂𝐽𝐽𝐻, did you feel something strange? Izuku asked as he felt a strange feeling in his spine. The said girl jumped in surprise as she shook her head and said, Nah, it might be the wind. Izuku could shrug as they continued to talk. All right, brats. They then heard the voice of their homeroom teacher and said man is walking to them. It is time to go, so move it, he ordered as Momo quickly ordered her class with Tenya's help to get in the bus. Everyone were on the bus, that is going to their destination, as the class continued to chat with each other till Tsuyu said, Hey Midoriya, she said as she poked him on his ripped biceps. Yes, he said. You know your quirk is quite, what's the word? Unique, she said. Unique is a strong word there, but I rather call it interesting if you could see it. The human body has so much limit that my quirk breaks through those, Izuku said as he looked at his hands. You're bluffing, Katsuki said as he growled with his other classmates could only look at him in disinterest. In the world of quirks, everything can be possible by a single drop of blood in the veins of humans. We just haven't seen them all, he said as an aura of wisdom surrounds him. Such wise words, Tenya said. If you ask me, I think it's a side effect of my quirk, he said as he points to his head jokingly, which got some chuckles from his classmate. So if I say need to train harder, is the solution? Ijiro asked. Yes, that is the answer, but I know people with some quirks still has limits, so be careful if you did train. Remember, we are heroes. We are the protectors of humanity, and we need to sacrifice for the people and not for the fame, Izuku explained as the class were amazed by his words. While in the front of the bus, Aizawa could only agree with the young boy's words as he smiled under his scarf. All right, we are here, Aizawa said as the bus parked in front of a large dome building. One by one, the class got out of the bus to continue their chatting till Izuku, Kyoka, Denki, and Katsuki saw a familiar hero. 13. The trio called out to the space hero as they waved to her while Ochako looked at 13 in admiration. Hey there, you three, 13 said as she waved at them as she walked over to them. We missed you, Kyoka said as she ran up to her and hugged her. It's been 9 years I've seen you kids. And you were this small, 13 said as she put her hand below her waist to indicate the previous height of the three teens. Well, we are now big and strong, right? Izuku said as he and Denki walked up to her. You're right, Zuku, Denki said. Guys, how did you know 13? Ochako asked in shock. We met after the incident, and she helped me train for a year, Izuku explained as Ochako could look at him in admiration. 13 then began to explain on what they are doing for this exercise. 13, where's All Might? Aizawa asked. He has something to do, she said as she held up some fingers, and then they went inside the building. Meanwhile, in the Midoriya residence, Eri is watching the television with her new mother Inko as she felt something bad. Mom, I think Big Brother is in trouble, Eri said as Inko have gone worried. Don't worry, sweetie, All Might is with them, and he will protect them, okay? Inko assured as Eri nods and looked back to the television. Back in USJ, the class were amazed from the interior of said building as they are looking at near the entrance. This place is amazing, Izuku said as he felt this place is like his mindscape. It is quite fascinating to see, Momo said as the class could agree. All right, you brats, we will. Aizawa stopped mid-sentence as he felt something ominous as he looked at the plaza of THR building. Izuku also felt it as his gut told him to be ready for it. Something is coming, Izuku said as everyone felt tense. A multiple black portal then appeared in the middle of the plaza as people came out of it. But the noticeable ones were a guy with hands over his body, a guy covered with mist, and a large black creature with a beak. Hey, is this the part of the exercise? Ijiro asked. No, they are villains, Aizawa said as everyone tense up. I should have trusted my gut and stayed home, Izuku said in a whisper as he shouldn't ever doubt his gut. How All Might isn't here, the hand guy said as he looked for the number 1 hero as the mist man was also looking around in confusion. Everyone be wary of the big guy, Izuku warned as the class were a bit skeptical, but Kyoka, Denki, and Marcia trust him. Well, if he isn't here, let's get here by killing this kids, the hand guy said as everyone were getting worried. 13, keep the kids safe. I'll handle them, Aizawa ordered as put on his visor. Will you be okay? Ochako asked. A hero ain't a one-trick pony, Aizawa said as he jumped to the fray. All right, kids, let's get out of here. Kaminari, contact the school, 13 ordered as the class began to evacuate. But the mist man immediately appeared in front of them to block off the entrance. Greetings, we are the League of Villains. My name is Kurogiri. Forgive our audacity, but today, we've come here to you a high school to kill the number 1 hero. All Might, the mist man now named Kurogiri said as some of the class were terrified. Damn, Izuku thought, but a sudden pain came from his back, but kept his position. This was the first time he felt pain from his own body since Zen is always fixing his body. Kurogiri was curious about the missing hero's location, but 13 wouldn't tell anything. Well, let's remove the new opportunity of the future, he said in hidden malice as the whole class were getting creeped out. Like hell, the sudden yell of Katsuki caused the villain to stumble from the sudden outburst as he saw the blonde along with Ijiro running at him. Stop, you idiots, Izuku shouted as he tried to move, but his body is in a strange pain. Suddenly black portals appeared below on some of the class as they fell through it. Midoriya, Uraraka, Tenya shouted as he was part of the class that didn't get sucked in. He just hoped that they are okay. Izuku then saw light as he saw that he was on the flood zone and he crashed in the water. Izuku quickly used his telekinesis to make the rocks below the water as platforms, and ran on it to get on the boat near him. He then saw Tsuyu and his cousin getting to the boat as well, but swarm of villains are chasing them. He could see that the 2 girls can handle this, since he knows the frog girl can handle it, and Marcia he could only shiver as he remembered on what she can do. He saw Tsuyu getting in the boat with a large leap, and Marcia used the plant life underwater to get her up. Izuku decided to check them if they are okay as he dropped off his platform and onto the boat. Hey guys, are you okay? He asked. We're fine, Midoriya, but we are surrounded, Tsuyu said as the 3 of them looked to the water, and indeed they were surrounded by villains. Who says that? Izuku asked with a menacing smile, which Tsuyu flinched at as he walked to the side of the ship and spinning his arm around. Hey, what is that kid doing? One of the villains said as they were confused from the smiling teen. Izuku immediately jumped off the ship and shouted, Mjolnir. He slammed his fist on the water, and the liquid blew up like a minesweeper blows up, and the villains were carried away by the explosion to the sky. Yu still looked stoic, but underneath she was shocked from the power behind the punch as she saw the villains began to fall in different places, knocked out. The two could feel the boat being rocked around by waves from the hammer fist as they hold onto the railings. The rocking stopped as the two girls finally let go and looked for the male Midoriya, and they saw him waving at them from the shore with a grin. "𝐬, let's go," Marcia said as Tsuyu could only nod as they used their quirks to go to the shore. As they now set foot on solid ground, Izuku immediately grabbed hold on them from their waist and begun to run at extreme speed. Izuku, slow down," Marcia shouted at him in fright as Tsuyu is also surprised. "No time, that beakhead is major trouble," Izuku said as he felt his body ache again. "Damn it, what is going on?" he thought as he kept running to the plaza. The three finally reached the plaza as they saw the rest of their classmates there, but they could see 13 out of commission since her costume is ripped in half. Izuku was more focused to his teacher Aizawa, who was being beaten around by the bulky creature. Izuku jumped into the air to reach the entrance as to avoid the fight below. When they landed, Izuku finally let go of the two girls as he looked and asked, "Where's Tenya?" "He's getting back up," Denki explained as he strangely have electricity traveling around his body. "But he needs to hurry," Ochako said in worry as they looked to their two teachers. Izuku knew that she was right, they need more time, and he knew what to do. "I'm going in," Izuku said as the class except his two best friends and cousin look at him in shock. "Dude, I know you are strong and all, but can really beat that thing?" Ijiro said as he points to the mindless behemoth. "Yeah, do you think you can handle that thing?" Zero said as he could only agree with the redhead. "Who says that I couldn't handle it?" Izuku said with a challenging smile, but his body began to ache. "Whoa, Izuku, what's going on?" Denki said as he went to his friend's side. "I don't know," he said as he felt the pain getting stronger as a black aura covered him. Everyone stayed back as the aura continued to grow as everyone felt the fear of death around them along with the villains. Suddenly a long black furry arm came out of Izuku's back as he screamed pain, and made his classmates freak out till they heard a maniacal laugh. "What was that?" the hand guy said as he felt the effect of the aura along with Kurogiri till they heard the same laughter. "Arg!" Izuku screamed in pain and went to his knees as another arm came out of his back. "Zuzu!" Kyoka shouted as she tried to get near, but Momo quickly caught her from her waist to stop her. "Wait!" Momo shouted as she struggled to keep her hold on Kyoka. In Izuku's mindscape, Zen is laying on the ground in defeat as the bottom half of his body turned to the two black arms that pierced the ceiling of the world. "Boy, I hope you learn to control this," Zen said as he could only saw darkness as he dreaded this day. A dark part of him have escaped. Then a burst of the black aura blown the students away as Izuku could lay on the ground in pain. The other students also groaned as they looked up and were scared from what they saw. Standing on top of Izuku is a tall, frail, black-skinned humanoid with its upper body being very muscular. Black fur covered its back along with a row of bone spikes along its spine and its elbows. A large furry black mane, and a skull-like mask with a crack on the right part of its face as its eyes has black scleres and white irises. The creature raised up its arms and shouted in a deep and disturbing voice, "I'm finally free." The class were scared from the beast in front of them as they hope it didn't notice them. The creature then saw the other creature holding down Aizawa as it gave a vicious smile and said, "And I found my prey." It then charged at the bulky creature like a wild beast as it roared to show its black tongue. "Nomu, get that thing," the hand guy ordered to the bulky creature as it let go of the defenseless teacher and charged to the black creature. "Like this thing will defeat me." The mighty Yin, the creature named Yin, declared as it used its large hands to pull out a large boulder from the ground and tossed it to its opponent. The Nomu just hit away, but Yin is immediately in front of it and the black-furred beast gave it a powerful uppercut on its beak. "Die!" Yin shouted as it continued to beat the artificial monster down. "Cool. This NPC is weird, but cool. What do you think it is, Kurogiri?" the handman asked. "I don't know, Shigaraki, but Nomu better beat it," Kurogiri said to handman now named Shigaraki as they continued to watch the main beast Yin battling their weapon. "What did you say?" "You're next." Yin shouted at them, but the Nomu tackled it, so it countered with a hammer fist on its neck. "Don't get into this." Back with the students, they were quite surprised on what they are seeing, including Izuku himself. "Dude, what was that?" Denki asked. "I don't know either. I just think that it is part of my quirk," Izuku could only explain as his strength slowly returned to him rather than second. "We will deal with that later, but what do we do with that?" Tsuyu asked. "I have an idea, and I think this will be a win-win," Izuku said with a confident smile. Back with the two monsters' battle, Yin continued to fight off its opponent with sheer brutality as it tried everything to kill its opponent. "Why don't you just die?" Yin yelled out angrily. "Hahaha. Nomu has two quirks, shock absorption and regeneration. The perfect weapon to beat All Might. And you think you can beat it?" Shigaraki mocked as Yin immediately went in a mad rage as it continued to pummel the Nomu down. The Nomu still keep up with its endless attacks, but its attack doesn't affect Yin at all. They are so distracted that they didn't notice a stream of lightning went past them and got electrocuted. "Hooray, Shin!" The stream of lightning revealed itself as Denki himself, as he is right now covered in electricity, and was moving around like he was teleporting. Now, he heard Izuku's shout and a big explosion hit the two behemoths, and it is now contained in a block of ice. Izuku's shout came from the sky as he was dropping from the sky very fast with his feet together that forms a point. The ice started to crack, but Izuku already hit the two and made a large crater from the impact. So they're laid on the ground as the Nomu and Yin as Izuku is above the black beast, and held Yin in an arm lock. Let go, I don't to go back in there, Yin yelled as it struggled from its restraint. Good thing Zen taught me this. Boot his palm. Izuku then brought his palm on Yin as the black beast yelled in pain from the sudden pressure and slowly disintegrate and went inside Izuku's body. Izuku then dropped on his behind as he was strangely exhausted, but felt his energy came back in an instant. While that's he was cut off as he muscular grabbed his face and threw him away. Zuku, Denki yelled as he immediately vanished when the Nomu tried to hit him. SHT, that wasn't enough, Katsuki said angrily as he was slightly far away from them along with Shoto. So it is stronger than All Might, but I think Midoriya isn't finished yet, Shoto said as Katsuki scowled at that. Meanwhile with Denki, the electric user is moving in Mach speed from the super he learned in the past. Denki first learned it when Izuku started his training and got some tips from him. He learned to use his quirk around his body to amplify his speed and power like a motor, and trained his body to be durable for any drawbacks. Zuku, he shouted till he saw his best friend walking to him with his eyes covered by his hair as he immediately paled. Izuku is angry. Scratch that, PS said as heck. Oh crud, Denki muttered as he began to run to the other direction. He ain't gonna be near his best friend's warpath. Back with the rest of the students, Katsuki, Shoto, and Ejiro are distracting the Nomu to delay it a little till they felt a powerful aura of malice wash over them. What was that? Shoto asked till the ground shook like a giant walking with them. Hello, 𝐒𝐽𝐽𝐿 muttered as she began to pale while her classmates look at her in worry. What is going on? Hanta asked till the shaking intensified. They then saw Denki from the distance running at them. Fear. Run, Denki yelled till a large chunk of land fell from the sky. Hell axe. Suddenly the Nomu is hit on the head by none other than Izuku himself with a powerful axe kick that made the artificial human drop to the ground. What was that? One of the villains yelled in fear. Izuku immediately jumped to the air as he dropped to the ground heads first and shouted, "Ballistic missile." Izuku then hit Nomu on its back as it screeched in pain as its regeneration quirk couldn't even fix it. Iron Claw. He then thrust his palm on the Nomu's head as the strike broke its skull. Izuku decided to finish this as he jumped to the air as he do an elbow drop, and he shouted, "Mountain Spike." When his attack hit the Nomu, its body is completely pulverized inside out, and is now laying there dead with Izuku kneeling as steam came out of his body. Never mess with me, Izuku muttered as he is slowly getting sleepy. I call Hex, Kurogiri get him, Shigaraki ordered as Izuku finally accepted the suggestion of his body, but heard a yell, I am here. Izuku could only see darkness, and smiled when he heard that voice. There was only darkness until a sudden call was heard. Clear. Izuku immediately jumped in shock as literally a defibrillator is used on him. What the he was cut off when Kyoka, Denki, Ochako, and Marcia hugged him. You idiot, Kyoka yelled at him as she hit him on the head. But tears were streaming off her face. Good thing. The way to wake you up is to give you a little shock, Denki said as the four of them let go off the poor green head. Izuku looked around and saw that he was on a bed in the infirmary of the school with his classmates on their school uniform. Guys, what happened before I blacked out? Izuku asked. The Miss Guy was about to catch you, but Zero used his tape to get you and All Might came to beat the villains, but two of them escaped, Ochako explained. And after that, the rest of you came to the rescue and arrested the villains and got you back here, Kyoka said. Damn, Izuku could only say as he laid on the bed. Also you got two visitors, Marcia said as the door suddenly slammed open. My baby. Izuku immediately pale as his mother came in the room and hugged him immediately. Big brother. He then saw Eri below his feet. Izuku, why did you have to be so reckless? You were in a coma for a whole day. His mother cried out as he looked at her in shock. Hey, he just gaped there in disbelief. Yeah, you slept like a log. We had to tell the teachers that you defeated the big thing. But we didn't know what happened to the other villains, Marcia said. But worries me is the monster that came out of your body. Its name was Yin, was it? Ochako reminded. I don't know either, but I think it's part of my quirk, Izuku said. Well, if there's a Yin, then there will be a Yang, Kyoka said as they grew worried. Then that mean I must learn to control it, Izuku said as his mother sighed. Well, more equipments for you, she said as everyone chuckled. Denki then remembered something and said, Hey Aizawa, remind us to tell you something. What is it? Izuku asked. The sport festival is coming up. Izuku then quickly perked up. Really? Yeah, Mr. Aizawa said it himself. And security will be tight in that time, Kyoka said. It's really coming, huh? Izuku said as he slowly grinned, which everyone saw. So what will you do next, Suzu? Marcia asked. Izuku's grin could get bigger as he said, I'm gonna break another limit. The enemies and true feelings. Izuku is walking to his school in his school uniform along with his adopted sister Eri sitting behind his head. He decided to bring her along since the little girl really missed him and decided to bring her along, but with her mother's approval. "All right, Eri, we're getting closer," he said as Eri smiled and patted his head jovially. They slowly reached his classroom as he then noticed a crowd of students blocking the door. "Hey, Zuzu." He then saw Kyoka jumping from the door. "Hey guys, move it," he said as he struggled to pass through the crowd, so he shouted, "Hey, there's a kid here." The crowd then noticed the child on his shoulders and made way so he can go through. So, he started as he conjured up his malicious aura to the crowd, and suddenly Yin's head appeared from his shoulder. Izuku took days of training to control the black spirit, but learned something valuable from Zen. The gray spirit said that Yin is a part of him, a true personification of the yin-yang. When he symbolizes peace, Yin symbolizes darkness and violence, and Yang symbolizes light and love. So to make Yin follow him, Izuku needed to gain its trust, and what could make a battle-hungry spirit is none other a deathmatch. Izuku and first got beaten around, but slowly they battle like equal, so Izuku's only problem is Yang. "What is going on here?" he asked as the crowd shivered in fear. A gray-haired teen poked out his head from the crowd and said, "'Cause you fight villains, you think that you can take the top." Izuku glared from the accusation as Yin looked at them like they were prey. "Can I gut them?" the black spirit asked, but a chop on the head stopped it. "No," Izuku said as the crowd could look at Yin in fear. "Hey dark buddy." The call of Dark Shadow, the sentient quirk of 𝐒𝐵𝗃𝗲 𝗧𝗏. "Hey," Yin called out as it got out of Izuku's body and went to the shadow spirit for a chat. The whole class got used from Yin's presence when it suddenly came out of Izuku's body. "So this is what is going about. We could have died, you idiots. You worry about fame, but not worry for the safety of a fellow student." Izuku scolded the crowd as they looked down with shame. "Maybe they are not so bad. Yeah, we shouldn't have done this." The crowd admired wholeheartedly as they apologized to the class. "That's right, why don't make matters worse." Izuku punched Katsuki's head as he will not let this get any worse. "So he's the only overconfident one, huh?" the purple-haired teen asked. "Yeah, he is," the whole class of one admitted. "Well, we're sorry for accusing you, but we just felt inferior in all of this," the teen said as the crowd nods. "Then train," Izuku simply said. "Your quirks are a part of you. Like a rock, you can shape it to make it better. If you do have a powerful quirk, nothing can beat the knowledge of a fighter. Don't fight like you have already know. Fight like you have learned by trial and error, and your answer is the result of your will." Everyone were in awe from his words. They felt more confident to be the best and strong. "You, what's your name?" the purple-haired teen asked. "Izuku Midoriya." "How about you?" Izuku asked. "Hitoshi Shinso." The teen said as Izuku could only nod as the crowd then went to their respective classrooms as Izuku could only sigh in relief. "Man, that was awesome, Midori," Mina said. "It was quite amazing." "Ribbit," Tsuyu said. "It was nothing really. They just need some guidance to a better path," Izuku said as their homeroom teacher Aizawa entered the room to start the class, not even minding Eri with them. But Izuku is determined as he thought about the sports festival as he began to laugh maniacally. His classmates and teacher heard his laugh and were scared from the crazy laughter, but Eri didn't mind it. Those poor bastards are doomed when it starts. It was now lunchtime as Izuku's friends were enjoying their own meal while Izuku shared his own food with his little sister. "Say Eri," Izuku said as he held a spoon of katsudon for her. Eri said as she opened her mouth and Izuku put in the spoon, and she swallowed the content of the silverware and chewed it. This very action caused his friends to adore little Eri as a bubbly aura surrounds the two. "So adorable," Marcia said as she gushed at the scene. "Yeah, you did it," Izuku cheered happily as he gave some slow claps as Eri did the same. "Cute," the girls thought as they couldn't resist it. "Young Midoriya." Suddenly All Might appeared before as he presented 2 lunchboxes and said, "Will you have lunch with me?" He acts like a schoolgirl, Izuku's friends thought. "Well, sure, but can I bring my little sister with me?" Izuku said as he pats Eri on the head. "Sure," All Might said as he couldn't say no to the little cutie. The 3 of them then ate their lunch in the teacher's lounge as Izuku shared his lunchbox with Eri. "So why did you brought me here?" Izuku asked. "Well, young Midoriya, you already know the sports festival is coming, right?" All Might said. "Yeah, I know, and I'm gonna push my limits before it starts," Izuku said confidently as All Might looked at him with interest. "Also, I am quite interested with you quirk, young Midoriya," All Might said. "Well, you already saw my files about my quirk, and I can't blame you of your interest. Big brother's quirk is amazing." Eri cheered. "But not as yours," Izuku said as he ruffled a giggling Eri as she enjoyed the love she received. "It is quite unique since it reminds me of my own," All Might said. But this piece of information made it different. "All Might, and my only mother, sister, and my 2 friends know about this." This got All Might more interested. "Tell me about this secret. You tell me yours and I tell you mine. This make it fair since we share it with each other, and I know you can keep one and so am I." All Might could only nod in agreement since it's only fair. "Well, you first." "Okay, so you see, my quirk is a 1 of a million of this ever to occur. Mine as well. But you know quirks are different to everyone. I know. But what made my quirk special that it's hereditary? All might look at Izuku in shock at such a unique quirk. Does your parents show signs of this quirk? Last I heard, none. Maybe it needed a type of requirement to achieve it, so I try to learn my quirk. So if you did have a child, they need a part of your genetics and do something to activate it. Maybe. But you also heard the other part of my quirk that grant me the power to conjure a spirit, right? 𝗫𝗓𝗄𝐴𝐴𝐻, Eri said as she pouted. So it's a new ability. Yeah, it is. I know I have 3 spirits, yin, yang, and zen. I can see your point in all of this, and I deeply admire it. So then what's yours? All Might then sigh as steam suddenly covered his body and revealed a more skinnier man. Whoa, Izuku said in shock along with Eri. As you can see, this is my real form, and this is the cause of it. All Might then raised his shirt and showed a large scar. Wait, did this occur when you battled Toxic Chainsaw? Ha, that sucker didn't stand a chance. But another enemy did this, he said as he couldn't curse around her. But why thou? Because my quirk is a stockpiling quirk, and is passed on to me by the previous user. Wow, indeed, this quirk is one for all and I'm the 8th user. Such power by 8 people combined. Sadly, I think I am running out of time. Izuku then grew worried. You want to pass the quirk to me, weren't you? I was. But I saw your quirk and I know it's getting stronger as time passed by. I can understand that. My quirk added with one for all is a recipe for disaster. You're right, so I hope you keep this secret well. I swear on my life that I will never speak of this. Then you can leave. Izuku and Eri then left the room as All Might could only smile for the green-haired teen. I can already see a great future with you. But right now, I need to pass one for all to the student night I recommended, he thought as he also left the room. Class finally finished as Izuku and Eri are on walking out of the campus in the same position when they enter. Hey Zuzu. He then heard Kyoka as he turned around and saw her running at him. Hey Kyoka, what's up? He asked. Hey Kyoka, Eri greeted. Hey Eri, and for your question Zuzu, can I go with you? It has been forever to see Aunt and Co, Kyoka said. Well sure, but can you keep up? Izuku said, but Kyoka pulled his ear. This isn't a race, so let's go, she said as she began to drag the green-haired boy by the ear while Eri held onto his head. Unbeknownst to them, Denki and Marcia were far behind in the bushes spying on them. Continue to their house, Denki asked. Yes, Marcia said as they got off the bushes and followed the two from the distance. Izuku, Eri, and Kyoka are walking down the streets as it was bustling with people. Now tell me why you are following me, Izuku asked as Kyoka looked at him. What do you mean? She asked in curiosity, but she was actually nervous. I'm not stupid, Kyoka. And you already know my gut talking to me, Izuku said as Kyoka could only sigh. I should have known, you'll notice very quickly. She took a deep breath and said, Izuku, can I ask you something? Yeah, what is it? He said in curiosity. It's now or never, she thought, then said, Do you think I'm beautiful? Izuku is immediately shocked from the question, and was very nervous to answer. You're pretty, Kyoka, Eri said, which made the perplexed smile. Thanks, Eri, but I want the answer from your brother, Kyoka said as she points to Izuku. Why do you ask, Kyoka? Izuku asked as Kyoka thought about it. I feel jealous actually. Momo and the rest of the girls have great bodies. Maybe Toru as well. But look at mine. She then gestured to her petite form as she looked down at it with a frown. Izuku could feel pity as he put his hand on her chin and raised her face to his eye level and said, Kyoka, you might not have the body, but when I first saw you, you were elegant and dazzling. Kyoka blushed as his words were literally smooth as heck. Izuku then continued, You were the first female friend I had, Kyoka. The other girls I met always gave me a bad feeling, but when I am near you, I feel fine. Really? She asked as she was still blushing, and he nods. People may think that I'm an idiot for having incredible strength, but I'm quite intelligent to solve problems than people expected to someone with strengthening quirk. I know those girls look at me like I was a set of jewelries, but the girls in our class, maybe Toru and Mina, doesn't see me like that. But you, Kyoka, make me feel safer than anyone, he said as he was slightly blushing while Eri looked confused. So what do you mean? Kyoka asked as she felt her heart beating as the both of them stopped walking. This feeling stayed with me for a very long time since I was scared to know, but I feel it's right to say that I love you, Kyoka Jiru, Izuku said as he kneeled and grabbed her hands and brought it to his forehead. Kyoka felt her heart beating and tears are streaming down her face as she also kneeled down and kissed him on his forehead. And I love you as well, Kyoka said as both of them smiled. I'm gonna tell Mom, Eri said as the two immediately paled. Please don't tell her, Izuku begged as he felt his gut acting again. I'm gonna tell, Eri said as she pointed at them accusingly. I already feel the headache when she finds out. I'm telling. I'll buy you candy apples for a month, Kyoka quickly said as Eri drooled at the prospect of the sweetened fruit. Okay, she said as two of them sigh. So want to have lunch tomorrow? Izuku asked as Kyoka looked at him. Are you asking for a date, mister? She asked smugly as Izuku chuckled. And what if you gonna accept? Izuku said, but Kyoka punched him lightly on the shoulder and the three continued to walk away. Unbeknownst to the three, Marcia and Denki are on the opposite street watching them in robes and shades as they quietly cheered. Finally they confessed. Denki said, "You know, we can be like that as well." Marcia teased as Denki looked at her blankly till he grabbed her face and kissed her lips with his own. Marcia was shocked and his blushing that made her look like a tomato. Denki ended the kiss as a slight blushes on his face and said, "We absolutely can." Marcia could blush as they continued to follow them. Izuku, Eri, and Kyoka finally reached the Midoriya residence as the two teens were nervous. Izuku opened and the three entered the building as he called out, "Mom, we're home." Inko then appeared before them and said, "Ah, Izuku, Eri, you're here and I see you have someone along." "Hey Aunt Inko," Kyoka greeted. "Hello Kyoka, how's your parents doing?" Inko asked. "They're fine and still the same." "That's good. I wish your mother could join me and the other two in an outing." "Mom, the both of them are together," Eri yelled as she points at the two as they look at her in betrayal. "My baby is finally grown up." Inko cried as a stream of tears went out of her eyes. "Mom, stop. You'll flood the house," Izuku shouted as he and Kyoka tried to calm her down while Eri is just splashing the tears. "Wah." Inko continued to cry as Izuku could groan as he and Kyoka started to mop the tears away, but felt their hearts connect to each other. It is now a new day as Izuku and Kyoka are walking in a mall in casual clothes. Last night was kinda hectic after Izuku's mother finally calmed down. Inko was happy for her baby boy now having a girlfriend, and the new couple were blushing when Inko mentioned grandchildren and her being a grandmother. So here he was, a day with his childhood girlfriend in the mall to have lunch like they had talked about last night. "So where first?" Izuku asked. "We could buy something, then have something to eat," Kyoka suggested. "Well, okay if you want," Izuku said. "Well, music store, here we come," Kyoka said as she began drag the green-haired boy. "Yes ma'am," Izuku said sarcastically as he speed up his pace so he wouldn't trip. Meanwhile, Denki is with Marcia, Tenya, and Ochako as they look around the store for anything. "So you confessed last night?" Ochako asked. "Nah, more like I kissed her on the spot," Denki said as Marcia blushed in embarrassment. "Denki, that is no way to confess, but congratulations for your new relationship," Tenya said. "Thanks man," Denki said till Marcia nudged him. "Is that Izuku and Kyoka?" Marcia asked as she points row somewhere and the three followed where she points, and they indeed saw Izuku and Kyoka. "Yeah, it's them," Ochako said in shock. "So the two of them are a couple as well, I presume?" Tenya asked. "Yeah, but we kinda spy on them," Marcia said nervously as Tenya began to scold her. "And I think I know where they are going." "Follow me," Denki said as the four began to follow the other couple. Back with Izuku and Kyoka. They now have reached the music store as they look on various instruments and sound systems around the shop till they look on a karaoke machine. "Say Kyoka, do you still remember the song we liked when we were kids?" Izuku asked. "Yeah, I remember Zuzu, so why asked?" She asked. "Want to sing it, to bring those memories that we had?" Izuku asked as Kyoka smiled. "Hey, can we use the karaoke machine?" Kyoka asked the staff that was lazing around. "Just don't break it," the employee said. "Well, you heard him," Izuku said as Kyoka began to select the song. The monitor of the machine then showed the song's name. "Dusk Till Dawn." Izuku then grabbed the microphone as he smiled when he saw Kyoka's onyx eyes look to his green eyes. "Not Trina be indie. Not Trina be cool, just Trina be in this. Tell me how you choose. Can you feel why you're in this? Can you feel it through all of the windows inside this room? Cause I wanna touch you, baby, and I wanna feel you, too. I wanna see the sunrise and your sins, just me and you, light it up. On the run, let's make love. Tonight, make it up. Fall in love. Try, but you'll never be alone. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn, baby. I'm right here. I'll hold you when things go wrong. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn, baby. I'm right here. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn, baby. I'm right here. We were shut like a jacket, so do your zip. We will roll down the rapids. To find a wave that fits. Can you feel where the wind is? Can you feel it through all of the windows inside this room? Cause I wanna touch you, baby. I wanna feel you, too. I wanna see the sunrise and your sins, just me and you. Light it up. On the run, let's make love tonight. Make it up. Fall in love. Try, but you'll never be alone. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn, baby. I'm right here. I'll hold you when things go wrong. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn, baby. I'm right here. Go. Give love to your body. It's only you that can stop it. Go. Give love to your body. It's only you that can stop it. Go. Give love to your body. It's only you that can stop it. Go. Give love to your body. Go. Give love to your body, but you'll never be alone. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn, baby. I'm right here. I'll hold you when things go wrong. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn, baby. I'm right here. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn, baby. I'm right here. The two of them then stop as Kyoka is tired from singing while Izuku is okay due to his stamina. They then heard multiple clapping and saw Denki, Marcia, Ochako, Tenya, and a huge audience applauding on their performance, even though the lazy staff is crying on how beautiful the way they sing. The two of them blushed as their four friends walked to them. "Man, Zuku, you still remembered that. Dude, I hoped you forgot that song since you kept singing it for months with Kyoka," Denki said as Izuku rubbed the back of his head sheepishly as he remembered that certain event. That was awesome, Izuku, 𝐒𝐴𝐴𝐽𝐽 shouted. The way you two sing is too beautiful, and such emotion you let out for it, Tenya praised. And also, Marcia said with a devious smile as she is holding a green phone and showed a video of the two singing. This will have multiple views soon enough. Izuku and Kyoka then blushed in an atomic level as Izuku now resembles a tomato and Kyoka resembles a red plum. Marcia, Izuku and Kyoka yelled in embarrassment, but were secretly happy for each other when their bond continued to grow. Izuku then got an idea. Hey guys, I think I have something for the sports festival. What is it? Marcia asked as she began to send the video. Izuku then grinned and said, something that is going to be extravagant. Well, when do we start? 𝐴𝐴𝐽𝐽 asked. Tomorrow. Because we are gonna show the world what we have, Izuku said as his eyes glowed when he thought of his plan. This would be the greatest. This would be amazing. This would be beautiful. But most importantly, it would be divine. To show the world the power that was bestowed to him. The fist that conquered the heavens. The Sports Festival Part 1. It was now the Sports Festival. The time for the students to show their capabilities to the heroes that are watching them. Where the students will prove their worth to everyone as they will use their true strength. Izuku is with his classmates, wearing his red bandana from his hero costume, as the class were in their PE uniforms, and were excited and determined for the sports festival to start. You guys ready? Izuku asked as he was determined, but his aura of malice clearly showed that he'd go overboard. His classmates were scared of it, except for 𝐴𝐴𝐽𝐽 as she showed her own with a scary face. Yeah, 𝐴𝐴𝐽𝐽 yelled. I said, are you ready? Izuku said it louder as his aura grows. Yeah, 𝐴𝐴𝐽𝐽 shouted as hers also grew. But their classmates were giving weaker shouts as they are scared from the aura the two were releasing. What do you think the property damage will be? Denki asked Kyoka. I hope it will not be having you getting bankrupt, Kyoka said as she could only imagine it. Oh, the horror. I should wait for a while. A 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗿 teen thought as he was flinching from the malicious aura. Let me hear you roar. Izuku yelled. Roar. 𝐴𝐴𝐽𝐽 then did it, with Ejiro also doing it as he thinks it looks so manly. Yin then appeared with them as the black spirit laughed in excitement. I could already hear their screams of pain. Yin said as it continued to laugh. Shut up, Yin, Izuku scolded the spirit, but it only chuckles and went back to Izuku's body as his aura disappeared. I'm really excited, Mina said when the deadly aura finally disappeared. No kidding, Siro said. Yeah, Ejiro shouted. Remember, pro heroes are watching us, so let's do our best, Kyoka said as everyone agreed. They then walked outside to go to the arena as they don't like to be late. Class 1 and the rest of the students from the other classes are gathered in the stadium with the R-rated hero, Midnight in the middle of it all, and got some lecherous stares from the guys and some females drooling at her. Assets, cough. Anyways, Izuku looked at her as he shrugged and said, meh, seen better. Blunt as ever, Marcia muttered as something is mysteriously moving in her hair. Midnight suddenly feel depressed but didn't know why. And now for the athlete's oath by none other than the green juggernaut, Izuku Midoriya. Midnight announced to everyone as the audience were surprised to see the green-haired teen while the students were shocked to hear it. Izuku looked confident as he showed his serious face as he walked up to the middle and grabbed the microphone. He took a deep breath and said, justice, equality, and determination. Everyone were confused but he continued. These three are what makes a true hero, the ability to stop evil, the ability to see that nothing is different, and to see that no challenge is never impossible. Heroes these days, only caring for the fame and glory. Pathetic if you ask me. Some of the heroes, including a certain flame brain, were glaring at him like Izuku was mocking them. There is nothing heroic if money is the only thing you care for yourselves. I believe that the smiles of the innocent are enough for heroes to be satisfied, rather than let greed corrupt them to what a true hero is. A hero that cared for the well-being of every living being that haven't lost from the darkness. The students were amazed by his words, but some of the heroes were seething in rage. So I'm gonna set an example for you folks, for this is my pledge to the world. Nezu showtime, Izuku shouted as a loud blaring of a horn echoed throughout the stadium. Everyone were confused till they feel the ground rumbling. Cause this will be amazing. Izuku shouted and began to laugh as the rumbling grew stronger. The ground under the other students suddenly raised up by 𝗵𝗵𝗲 as they saw at one of the tunnels of the stadium are a group red lights. Target acquired. A large group of robotic voices called out as the students that entered by the general entrance exam easily recognized. Then out of tunnel are the robots ranging from 0.1-3 charged at Izuku. Is he mad? A student shouted. That's what they use for the general entrance exam. Interesting, Momo said. Bring it on. Izuku shouted as he ran straight to the swarm of robots. Is he crazy? It's impossible. That kid is suicidal. Those were the words Izuku heard, but he didn't deter as he continued run forward and shouted, Rui. He then delivered a sideward kick to one robot and it went flying as it destroyed some of the robots from the attack's power. Jingu. Then another kick towards another one on the opposite side that did the same like the last. Bang. Then a flying kick to the one in his front that did the same as the last two. Durandal. He then chopped a robot's head, but added his telekinesis to make it a flying slash attack that decapitate the robots behind his target. The robots continued to surround him, but Izuku shouted, "Aegis." His muscles tightened as his shirt got ripped, and the robots around him were crushed by the pressure that he exerts out of his body. Every woman openly drooled when they saw his perfect body, and the men were either jealous or depressed. Izuku then jumped high in the air in a cross-legged sitting position, and dropped down like an anvil and shouted, "Five-Finger Mountain." As crashed on the ground, robots that are 50 meters around him were crushed from the pressure of it, and continued to destroy the remaining robots. The audience were either in shock, fear, or awe as they continued to watch the Juggernaut's endless onslaught. The students were the same as the audience as they truly witnessed the power of his quirk. Suddenly a zero-pointer entered the stadium as the general entrance exam takers were either scared or neutral when they saw it. "This is the big finale," Izuku declared as he ran up to the iron behemoth while holding his left arm that is surrounded by his aura. He is then right in front of the giant and he shouted, "God Fist." He then did a powerful uppercut that hit it below its head, and is launched to the air in immense speed like a bullet. Everyone were shocked from his last attack as Izuku literally sent it to space like it was nothing but a piece of stone with the clouds being blown away. In the Midoriya residence, 𝐭 and Eri were watching the whole thing on the television as the green-haired woman could only sigh while Eri looked at Izuku with awe. "Only you can think of this," 𝐭 muttered as she smiled for her son. Back to the stadium, everyone were silent as they couldn't believe the godlike power of Izuku. Kyoka and Denki began to cheer for him, followed by their classmates, the rest of the students, the staff, and followed by literally everyone. "Ra!" Izuku roared to the heavens as his body began to let out steam as everyone continued to cheer louder, and 𝗵𝗲 lowered the ground where the students were standing. "Now that's what I call unleash the beast, ladies and gentlemen. Our resident juggernaut really showed those bots who's boss," President Mike announced as Aizawa, who was sitting beside the loud blonde and is wrapped in bandages like a mummy, could only grumble from his loud mouth. "Mike, quiet down," Aizawa said. "Well, let's start, shall we?" "Midnight," President Mike said. "You got it," Midnight said with a grin. "And the first game is..." A giant holographic screen then appeared behind her as it showed the word obstacle course. "The obstacle course," she shouted at the audience and the students. "An obstacle course. That doesn't sound so bad." Those were the words Izuku heard, as he was wearing a new shirt and standing with his classmates, as Midnight explained the rules to everyone. Basically, everyone can use their quirks as much as they want and not leave the track. But Izuku Midoriya always wanted a challenge. "I should use the other part of my quirk," he thought as he would his mind instead of his body for this one. Every student then gathered around and faced the designated tunnel for them to use. "Zuzu, don't get overboard," Kyoka warned her boyfriend. "Don't worry, I'm gonna use the other half of my quirk," Izuku said. "Dude, this might let your other spirit out," Denki said. "Because I am. Remember, I'm still learning my quirk and how to harness it, so let me be," Izuku said with reassuring smile as his eyes glowed and he began to float off the ground. "Well, if you say so," Denki said as he is in Hurricane mode. "This is a race, so take it easy," Kyoka said as she pierced the ground with her jacks. "Setting limits," Izuku mumbled as he set his weight. That was hidden in his uniform, to the heaviest setting. "On your marks," Midnight announced as the crowd began to cheer. "I will only use this % of my power," Izuku said as he set himself in a cross-legged sitting position. "Get set. A limit that will give the others a chance." He then noticed Denki letting his lightning coat his body, and he could feel Kyoka's heart beating rapidly because of the adrenaline. "Go." 5% and all hell break loose. Every student tried to squeeze through the tight corridor, but the ground suddenly got covered in ice. "Ballista." Izuku's shout echoed through the tunnel as he soared through it by going above the crowd. "Hurricane." Denki's shout follows his as he ran on the wall. "Beat burst." And lastly Kyoka's, as the ground below her blew up and launched her forward. The other students of Class 1 followed their lead with Shota Todoroki. The one who caused the ice is in front of everyone. The two colored-haired team then froze the entrance from the outside of the tunnel, but didn't stop Izuku from moving as the green-haired boy just headbutt the blockade for a decent-sized hole for everyone to enter. "Let's go." Izuku roared as everyone quickly run outside with each one used their quirks to get out. Shota sneered as he slid across the ground by freezing it. "Hey there." Shota immediately jumped in surprise as he looked to his left and saw Izuku beside him floating while on his back. "See ya," Izuku said as he sped up his pace. And Izuku Midoriya took first place with no problem at all. President Mike announced. He knows that using the other half of his quirk will help him, because his other half more relies on hand-to-hand combat rather than long-range combat, which will help him get some distance along with some air mobility, Aizawa said in a monotone voice, but was quite interested of how powerful is Izuku's telekinesis. While some of the competitors are nearing the first obstacle, the Robo Inferno, the blonde loudmouth announced as the students saw a much larger swarm of robots. But there are more zero-pointers. Now that's a challenge, Izuku shouted in glee as his eyes glowed more brightly. Shota noticed this and saw the ground glow with the same color. What is he doing? He thought as he continued to try to pass the young juggernaut. Izuku, meanwhile, moved his feet forward as it touched the ground, and surprisingly moved Izuku like it has its own mind. Ground surfer, Izuku shouted as he went to a surfer pose, and the ground moved like a wave with the green outlines surrounding it. Well, cowabunga folks, Izuku Midoriya is literally surfing the ground, Present Mike announced as he thought it was cool. He used his telekinesis to the ground in a microscopic level to make it move like sand, Aizawa said as he was clearly amazed by the boy's quirk. Coming through, Denki then ran past Izuku and Shota in his lightning cloak as he easily weaved through the robots. Deku, Katsuki shouted in anger as he used the blast from his quirk to boost him forward. Now for a weapon, Izuku said as he focused his telekinesis to the ground, and a mass of dirt are floating beside him and formed a spear made of the same substance. He continued surfing the ground and threw the dirt spear to a zero-pointer, and pierced through it and hit another. This kid's quirk is seriously troublesome, but I could see the results, Aizawa thought. Did you see that, folks? Izuku Midoriya just create weapon made out of dirt with just telekinesis. How about that? Present Mike announced as the crowd cheered in admiration. Slowly but surely, the students passed through the large behemoths with minimum problem, since Izuku cleared the weaker robots with his dirt wave. Kaminari is still in the lead in a flash, but Todoroki, Midoriya, and Bakugo are right behind him. But can he pass the second obstacle, the fall? Present Mike announced. Say what? Denki asked in horror till he saw a large canyon that has thick cables connecting the two split earths. I hope this works, Denki said as continued running on the cables, but he moved much faster and electricity violently arched around him. Piece of cake, Izuku roared as the wave of dirt he surfed on moved forward and made a large bridge, so he continued using his telekinesis on himself to float. You piece of SHT. Get back here, UFC curse. Katsuki loudly cursed as he almost passed Shota. Izuku, the green-haired teen, then saw her cousin using her quirk to the trees as her personal carriage along some of the students close by. Don't slow down now, Izuku called out. We won't. He heard Kyoka calling out to him as she kept blowing up the ground that she lands to move forward while his other classmates used their quirks in various ways. Now that's nice of him. He might be strong and smart, but he has a pure heart, Present Mike announced. But can they pass the last obstacle, the minefield? Okay, I need to slow down, Denki yelled as he slightly slowed down since he doesn't want to get blown up. Then I'm taking it, Izuku yelled as he passed him along with Shoto and Katsuki. Fourth place is great, I guess, Denki muttered as he starts to avoid the mines along with the other students. Back with Izuku, him, Shoto, and Katsuki are neck to neck as they closed into the finish line. Sorry, Izuku quietly said as he focused his telekinesis under the ground. What is he thinking now? Shoto thought. But I'm winning this. Suddenly, two mines came out of the ground and were in front of Katsuki and Shoto. Son of a bi, Katsuki is then cut off as him and Shoto were blown away by the landmines, and Izuku sped forward. That was amazing, folks. Izuku Midoriya just blasts them with the minefields and takes first place, Present Mike announced as the crowd began to cheer louder. Victory is mine. Hahaha. Izuku laughed as he finally reached the end of the tunnel. And there you have it, folks. Izuku Midoriya just completed the first game of the sports festival with little problem at all, Present Mike announced as Izuku raised both his arms and roared to everyone. Yay, big brother won. Yuri cheered as Inko smiled for her son. He would always surprise the everyone, she said as she saw his son began to flex for the camera. Look at him showboating, but wouldn't blame him. That was amazing. Eraserhead, my good man, how can this guy ever reach this far? Present Mike asked. For all I know, he trained his body over and over again to have this kind of power, and a lot of focus for his telekinesis to have that kind of control, Aizawa said. Then that kid will go far. This really shows that Quirk still has some secrets to be known. Not too loud, you moron, Aizawa sneered at his co-host. The other students began to enter the arena with Shoto having second, Katsuki having third, Denki having fourth, and so on till it stopped to the 42nd place, which is the French boy Yuga Aoyama. Now that is what I call intense there, folks. Many of the competitors are really showing their full capabilities, but we still need more of it though, Present Mike announced as the crowd feel excited. Meanwhile, outside the arena, Mount Lady, Kamui Woods, and Death Arms are outside patrolling the area. The kid is really gunning it, huh? Kamui Woods said as Mount Lady nods in agreement. You too, how do you even know him? You didn't really specify it, Death Arms asked. It's when we were still heroes in training. Both of our reputations were quite famous since, she gestured their clothings. So that day forward, the day he unlocked his quirk, we helped the kid with his training. The kid was really daring. He pulled a car when he was 6, a bus when he was 8, a truck when he was 10, and a boat when he was 12, 𝐒𝐭𝐲 said. Damn, I should have him join my agency, 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗿 said. I recommend that you wouldn't. He might cause some major property, Mount Lady warned. Yeah, you're right. His quirk is really too much, 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗿 said as he shuddered when he remembered the slime villain. He might be a force to be reckoned with. Now for the next game is. The large holographic screen then showed the word cavalry battle. Is a cavalry battle. This might be interesting, Izuku said. Dang, I'm bad in this, Denki said as he remembered when Izuku, Kyoka, and Marcia did try to have one, but his quirk kept him banned from it. Midnight then explained the rules for this game. Each student will make a team of 4 and each student that made it in the final 42 will have points, with the last having 5 points and continued increasing to the first. But they have something special for the one in last place. The one in fifth place will have 1 million points, Midnight announced as every student looked at Izuku with greed. Well dang, Izuku muttered as he was kinda scared from all of the looks he was getting. Midnight then explained that they need to wear headbands with the number of their points on it, but they will not wear it below their necks. They still can use their quirks, but they will not cause severe damage. So that's that. So go get your teammates and we will start, Midnight said as everyone began to get their teammates. Well, who would team up with me? Izuku began to think till someone tapped his shoulder and looked behind him and saw his cousin and 𝐻𝗂𝐿. Hey guys, what's up? He asked. Well, we will be you teammates, dummy, Marcia said. Yeah, we might have a chance together, 𝗬𝗂𝐿 said. Maybe, but where's Denki and Kyoka? He asked. Den is with Cold Butt and Kyoka is with our other classmates, Marcia said. Dang it, Marcia, Denki yelled at her, even though he was a kilometer away. So who's our 4th member? He asked. Hey, Mr. First Place. He heard a female voice and saw a girl with pink dreadlocks and various gadgets on her. The name's Mei Hatsum and I am a student of the support course, she introduced. Oh, your class made the weights I used, Izuku said as Mei looked at him in surprise. So you're the one that needed the weights, did you like it? Mei said. Yep, that's me. But what's with the note saying take care of my baby? He asked. Oh, that was me, and you did took care of it. My little baby, Mei said as she pet the weights that was still on Izuku's limbs. Creepy, the 3 of them thought. They then began to think of a plan as everyone were planning to go on an all-out war. The 4 decided that Izuku will be the horse, Marcia and 𝗬𝗂𝐿 on the back, and Mei as the rider with their headbands. They were equipped with jet boots, jetpacks, and some offensive gadgets. Izuku planned this as an assault team, but he has something in mind that he purposely didn't tell to his team. He then saw the other students with their own team as Izuku tensed up. Begin. Midnight called out as some of the competitors rushed to Izuku's team. Hold on to each other, Izuku shouted to his team, which they looked at him in confusion till they were covered with the same green outline. Go long, he shouted again as he grabbed them by their hands and tossed them into the air. The 3 girls then screamed with Marcia and 𝗬𝗂𝐿 in fear while Mei in excitement, but they stopped midair. Is that even allowed? Present Mike shouted to Midnight. If only they touched the ground. So no, Midnight said. Holy smokes, that was an amazing idea, Present Mike announced. I resent that. One of the students of Class 1B, Ibara Shizaki, shouted at something related to her religion. Yeah, Marcia did as well as it was her religion as well. Religions aside, Izuku thought it well through with his quirk. But I was surprised that he didn't tell his teammates about that part, Aizawa said as he was still thinking about the whole unknown team throw. Remember, he's still a kid. They always joke around, Present Mike said as Aizawa shrugged. Move, Izuku called out to his teammates as they used their gadgets to move around. I'll get you back after this, Marcia swore as the 3 girls were now floating around in the air. Izuku then looked at the other competitors that speak, come if you dare be my prey. They were quite afraid, but they still charged in while some stole points from the others. Deku, then the angry bomb known as Katsuki Bakugo, charged at the green-haired juggernaut with his team, which consists of Mina, Siro, and Ejiro, carrying him. Izuku didn't look fazed as he also saw Shoto's team, which consists of Momo, Denki, and Tenya, also charging at him. Bring it on, Izuku roared as he charged at them while leaving deep footprints on the concrete ground. Quick after them. An arrogant order of the resident douchebag of UA, Nito Monoma, as his team went to Katsuki's team. Don't get in my way, Katsuki shouted as he fired some blast at the enemy team. Go for Midoriya. If he's out, his teammates are doomed, Shoto ordered. This ain't gonna be easy, Denki said as they charged at the lone Midoriya. More like impossible, Momo said. Well, come on, Izuku challenged as he made a large broadsword made of concrete with his telekinesis. Shoto then fired a wave of ice at him, but Izuku's incredible strength and telekinesis cut it easily. It's that the best you got, Izuku roared as he created another sword and threw the first one at them. Yaoyorozu, Shoto shouted to Momo as she quickly made a shield in front of her team that breaks the incoming sword. Sorry, Izuku, Denki shouted as he made a finger gun and fired a bolt of lightning from his outward fingers. Izuku quickly saw this and jumped backwards to avoid it and did 5 backflip then land. Get back here, Deku, He heard his former best friend's shout of anger as Izuku saw him using his quirk to propel himself off his team into him. Not today, Izuku said as he punched the ground and made cone-shaped barrier around him made of concrete. Zen plan? Izuku asked his inner spirit. Avoid fighting for now, and keep dodging, Zen said as Izuku nods. 𝐬𝐴𝐵. Izuku immediately got out of the barrier as it immediately blew to bits. Adios, Izuku yelled as he began to run. Get back here, 𝐬𝐵𝘃𝗵𝗲. 𝐾𝐶𝐞 yelled as his team immediately caught him. Meanwhile, Izuku's teammates are dodging some long-range attacks from the competitors as Marsha got some seeds with her that grows into grass and used it as a shield. May, take us higher, Marsha yelled, coming right up. May shouted as they go higher. This made the other competitors angry as they can't really reach them, but get up close or shoot them down. Flytrap chaser, Marsha yelled as she tossed a seed to the ground. And it grew to large Venus flytrap that begins to get a bite to anything close to it. Bank left. Ochako called out to them as they evaded a vine that was coming right at them. I hope that blunt cousin of mine is having trouble as well, Marsha yelled as she threw more seeds that turned to various plants. Back with Izuku. The green-haired boy is dodging blast after blast, ice after ice, as he used Ground Surfer again to increase his mobility. Come on, is that all you've got? Izuku taunted as he created a barrier behind him that got blown away by the explosive blonde. Then stop running, 𝐬𝐵𝘃𝗵𝗲. Katsuki yelled in anger. Shoto even tried to block or freeze him, but Izuku is resilient and kept dodging his attacks. 𝐻𝗏𝗋 sword impale, Izuku yelled as he slammed his palm on the ground. And the entire battlefield is covered with thousands of blunt stone blades that kept the other competitors in place. Damn, that was a close one. I could only imagine it going in someone's butt. Present Mike announced as everyone could only shiver. You're scaring the kids, Mike, Aizawa said as his fellow announcer ignored him. Like this can stop me, Katsuki yelled as he blown the blades away with his quirk. I know, Izuku yelled as he immediately bent over to avoid a bolt of lightning. Nothing personal, dude, Denki shouted at Izuku as he fired another bolt, but Izuku evaded it as well by sliding along the ground. Izuku then quickly got back in position as he kept dodging every attack that was aiming at him, since the other competitors are getting desperate for points. Lion's palm. Izuku then thrust his palm on the ground and launched himself upwards with the force behind it. There is only a few minutes left, folks, Present Mike announced as every single competitor hustles more. Everyone, focus on Midoriya's teammates, Shoto ordered as his team now focused on the three floating girls. Oh no, you're not, Izuku shouted as went for the offense. Midoriya is now in the offense. Quick, ready the stretchers, Present Mike shouted, but Aizawa hit him on the head for the unnecessary call. Rocket, Izuku shouted as he zoomed forward with his head forward. Todoroki. Denki panicked as the bi-colored teen immediately made a wall of ice behind them and blocked Izuku's attack. Deku. Katsuki then came flying over as he fired a huge blast to propel himself. Yin, Izuku shouted as Yin came out of his body with a sadistic smile. Hey there, little boy, Yin said as he goes to attack Katsuki. Quick, Zero restrains Yin, Tajiro said as Zero quickly fired a line of tape at the black spirit. Like that can stop me, Yin roared as spikes grew around its arms and cut the tape. Never mind, Tajiro yelped in fright as he, Zero, and Mina went to the other direction, but close enough to catch Katsuki. I will not lose, Shoto thought angrily as he summoned a giant glacier under Izuku's team. 1 minute left, Present Mike shouted as the three monsters of Wano grew more determined to win this. We can't reach it in time, Shoto said as he grit his teeth in anger. We still can, Tenya said. I've been saving this move for anything serious. I will be useless afterwards, but this is a good time for it. Todoroki, you better grab it fast. Not a chance, Izuku yelled as his menacing aura surrounds him and jumped to the air. Deku, Katsuki yelled as he launched himself at them. Torque Tenya's calves then began to fire up. Like in Izuku's aura then surrounds his body as made the air solid and jumped higher. Over Risipiro Shoto's team then suddenly moved upwards like a bullet. Hunter Izuku's eyes then suddenly gained slits, and his teeth become sharper. I will win this. Not you, 𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃, Katsuki yelled as he came faster. Burst. Shoto's team were getting closer to Izuku's teammates along with Katsuki, but Izuku is already in front of them. Sabers. Izuku then made a cross chop, and it made a flying X-shaped slash attack that made his attackers back off and fall to the ground. 𝗬𝗃𝗃𝗃, Katsuki yelled as his team caught him while Momo made a soft cushion for her team. Shoto looked at them in anger as small flames are coming out of his left side. His eyes widened immediately and quickly extinguished them. He made me use his fire, he thought angrily as he thought about a certain man in anguish. I already pledged that I will never use it, but you made me broke it. Time's up. Shoto quickly got off his thoughts when he heard Present Mike as everyone finally relaxed their bodies from the stress they got. Izuku also heard this and slowly made his other teammates float down to the ground, and Yin returned to his body. Izuku, that was amazing, Ochako praised as Izuku rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. You are truly amazing, Mr. First Place. I can't wait to get my other babies to try, Mei said as she rubbed her hands sinisterly, which made his teammates uncomfortable. Marcia quickly punched Izuku on the shoulder and shouted, "And that's for not telling us, you idiot." Izuku could only chuckle sheepishly. And now for the rankings, President Mike announced as they finally got the final results. The first place goes to Team Hatsum, who kept their 1,000,000 points safely. Said team bumped their fists to each other and high-fived. The second goes, that ended with a bang, is Team Bakugo. Katsuku is currently fuming in anger while his 3 teammates could only sigh. Third place goes to Team Todoroki, Momo, Tenya, and Denki sigh in relief, but Shoto is displeased. And fourth place goes to Team Shinso. Said purple-haired insomniac gave a smug grin while his teammates were confused. So that's done. Everybody have an hour for lunch and we will begin the last round. President Mike announced and looked to his fellow host. Say, Shota, want to get something to eat? I rather sleep, Aizawa said as he slammed his head on the table and sleep like rock. Everyone then stood up to get some lunch. Shoto quickly walked over to Izuku as he placed his hand on his shoulder. Izuku felt this and said, "Can I help you? Can we talk to somewhere private?" Shoto asked as Izuku shrugged as they walked to another corridor. Little does Izuku know, something is manifesting inside his body, and the strange thing is, it was very peaceful. The Sports Festival Part 2. Izuku is currently sitting on the bleachers with his classmates, with Kyoka and Denki are sitting beside, and is currently angry. Oh, wait, scratch that. PSSED. Why, you may ask. Let's see with a flashback, shall we? So why do you want to say? Izuku asked as he and Shoto are in a different part of the arena where no one is listening. I was overpowered, so much that I broke my pledge, Shoto said. Wah, Izuku could only say as he raised an eyebrow as he was very clueless. Your quirk, it's similar to All Might's. Both your power and strength felt similar to him, so tell me, Midoriya. Shoto said that with a slight edgy tone as Izuku is prepared to what he is gonna say. Are you All Might's secret love child? Huh, Izuku could only say as his brain tried to process to what he just said. What the hell? So are you? Shoto asked, but Izuku looked at him like he was crazy. What the heck? No, I am not All Might's kid, but it will be amazing if I was. Instead I got a bad one. Izuku muttered the last one bitterly. But Shoto heard this and was quite interested. But he said else, sorry for asking that, Midoriya, but I have another question. Izuku then got interested. Okay, you know Endeavor, right? Shoto asked. Izuku then showed an angry look. He knows the number 2 hero very well. A big egotistical, greedy idiot. Izuku is really angry when he always watch Endeavor fighting villains, because he always cause a lot of property damage that the said property owners paid for repairing instead of him. Yeah, I know him. A big moron if you ask me, Izuku said bluntly, but was surprised when he saw Shoto slightly smile. But the scarred boy immediately hit it. Well, he's my old man. He dreamt on surpassing All Might, but he doesn't have the ability to do so. So he made another plan. Izuku already felt dread coming soon. Do you know quirk marriages, Midoriya? Izuku then frowned as his menacing aura immediately surrounds him. That prideful bastard. Izuku sneered as he already knew the answer. Shoto could already feel the hate coming out of Izuku when he said it, so he thought, so he knew. So what caused that scar of yours? Did Endeavor did that to you? Izuku asked. Shoto shook his head and said, it wasn't Endeavor who did this. Izuku then looked confused. It was my mother. Izuku then looked mortified as he asked, why? My mother thought my left side reminds her of him, he said as he clenched his fist. She continued to cry because my old man trained me to the very bone when I got my quirk. It reminds her of how cruel he truly was, and poured boiled water on it in her blind rage. Izuku felt more angry to the number 2 hero. He felt the lingering feeling of ripping that bastard's limbs from his body. Izuku could only know why Shoto hates his fire. It was the fire that symbolizes Shoto's father. I really respect you, Todoroki, for that, Izuku said as Shoto looked at him in surprise. Standing up to that hot-headed buffoon really makes me respect you, because no child could ever that kind of abuse, and it showed inside you that you will be a strong hero. Thank you, Midoriya, for that. It really meant to me that you dislike this kind of people like my old man, but I still don't like to use his flames, Shoto said. But will you really fight with half of your power? Shoto looked at Izuku angrily and said, IWLL never uses flaw. He stopped as Izuku suddenly thrust his palm to his chest, and his very soul came out of his body. Those flames are not your father's alone, Todoroki, Izuku said as Shoto looked at him strangely. He saw his body leaning on the wall, and is shocked when he saw Izuku's meditating beside it. I see you already noticed. This, Todoroki, is the spiritual plane, a place where time and space is different, and you want to know why I sent you and myself here? Izuku asked as Shoto could only nod. Simple, really. This way we can have a really private conversation. Time flows slower here rather than in the real world. And this will help me show you something, Izuku said as he poked Shoto's head as the bicolored teen held it in pain as he felt a ton of information went to his mind. What did you do? Shoto asked. A memory from the past, where quirks still don't exist, but powers given by supernatural beings do exist. When the appearance of quirks came, those powers quickly evolved to a less powerful version, but a descendant of those wielders will gain it, Izuku explained. Shoto tried to deny it, but those memories felt so real. What does it do with me? That Todoroki is because you are that very wielder's descendant just like me, Izuku said as Shoto looked at him in shock. Your flame is from a demigod that lost his gift of nurturing life and is given the gift of light and fire to protect rather than destruction. An image of a male Polynesian with red hair entered his mind with fire gently flowing around him. Your ice is from a large female beast that learned of how to be human rather than a monster. Then an image of a sky blue-haired woman came to his mind and was controlling the ice around her. Those two are your strength, but remember Todoroki. You control your destiny like them. Don't let your father control it. Shoto could look at him in awe and admiration. He remembered when he watched All Mights and remembered his words with his mother. His quirk is his and his alone. No one owns it as it was his, and he should be what his mother and himself wants to be. Thank you, Midoriya, but what will I do if I use both? Shoto asked. Then show them something different to today's era, Izuku said as the both of them returned to their bodies as they look each other and nods, and then they walk back to their classmates for lunch. So that's what angers him. Endeavor, if he had the chance of seeing him, he will go out of people's view, and embarrassed him by making water above, and pour it on the bastard by combining the molecules needed for it. He silently laughed when he thought of Hit. Alright everybody, time for the third round, a one-on-one tournament. Present Mike announced as everyone is excited. We will go first to last, Midnight said as she got a box with paper slips with numbers in it. Izuku and teammates quickly draw their number, followed by Katsuki's team, followed by Shoto's team, and finally Shinso's. Suddenly Mashiro raised his hand and said, I'm withdrawing. This got some shock looks from everyone. Me too, another student said. Are you sure? Midnight asked as the two nods. Well okay, so who wants to replace them? Then two students of 1B filled the spots, which were Tetsu and Aibara. Izuku stared at Mashiro and understood why since he felt a disturbance when he is near his team. As everyone got their numbers, the screen showed who's fighting who. Izuku Midoriya versus Shinso Hitoshi Shoto Todoroki versus Zero Hanta. Aibara Shizaki versus Denki Kaminari Meihatsum versus Tenya Idamina Ashido versus Yuve Yamamomo Yaoyorozu versus Martian Midoriya Ejiro Kirishima versus Tetsu Ochako Uraraka versus Katsuki Bakugo. Izuku looked where Shinso was and already felt a very bad vibe. He then saw Ochako with fear written on her face as he couldn't blame her. Katsuki is very violent. He walked up to her and said, Don't be afraid, don't let fear control you, and you might have a chance. Ochako felt more calm and said, Thanks Izuku. No problem, he said with a smile. He then saw Shinso walking to him as the purple-haired teen said, Good luck in our match. Izuku felt his gut telling him to not speak, so he could only nod as everyone went to the stands. Izuku then noticed Mashiro walking to him as he said, So you noticed? Yeah, I had a feeling that something bad will happen if I reply, Izuku said. Then you know what to do. He asked. I know, but I have something in mind, Izuku said as Mashiro looked at him in confusion, and he left for his fight. Kyoka is with the rest of her class in their seats with the crowd as she sit in front of them with Momo and Marcia beside her. Zuko got this, Marcia said as she was very confident of her cousin. No explanations there. Zuzu is always filled with surprises, Kyoka said as she twirled her jacks. Yeah, a man like him can't be beaten. Ejiro cheered in agreement. Suddenly the resident douchebag, Nito Monoma looked over the wall that divided his class with one as suddenly said, Such arrogance from you, all of you in class 1 are just. He was cut off when class 1B's big sis Itsuka Kendo chopped him to unconscious on the neck. She looked at Kyoka's class and said, Sorry about that. No problem, Marcia said as she waved at her. Alright, we are going for the first round of the last event. Present Mike announced as everyone began to cheer. First we have UAS resident Juggernaut, Izuku Midoriya of class 1A. The crowd cheered as Izuku entered the arena with a confident smile as he tightened his bandana. Versus Shinso Hitoshi of class 1 degrees Celsius. Shinso also entered the arena, but with minimal applause from the crowd. Good luck, Shinso said, but he sneered when he saw Izuku only gave him a nod as a response. Begin, Midnight called out. There is a tense silence after that till Izuku kneeled on the ground and made a come at me gesture. Shinso got angry from that and said, So what now? You're just gonna sit there. Izuku didn't took it as he closed his left eye and his right eye glowed. Suddenly, the sound of a strumming guitar and a drums beating are heard around the arena as it gave an amazing beat. Then Izuku's body glowed as something coming out of his body with the same glow. And it finally came out as everyone were either amazed or creeped out. It was an ethereal body of Izuku which glowed in same green color. If you're sick, if you're sick, if you're sick, if you're sick of it, the ghostly body sang as everyone grew confused. If you're sick, if you're sick, if you're sick of it, Izuku's body suddenly charged at Shinso. When everything you do don't seem to matter, Shinso tried to punch him, but Izuku quickly evaded and made his arms straighter. You try but it's not use, your world is getting blacker when every time you fail has no answer. Izuku then spread out Shinso's legs with his as Shinso looked more in a capable stance. Every empty promise made. His own reminder, Shinso used his other fist to punch, but Izuku also evaded and straightened it as well. No one can make this better, take control. It's now or never. Izuku then jumped back and did the same taunting gesture. Are you sick of it? Raise your hands. Shinso then charged with his new stance. But Izuku kept evading his hits and seems to correct them. Get rid of it. While there's a fighting chance, Shinso tried to hit Izuku, but the green eat defends every attack. Are you over it? Bored to death? Have you had enough regret? Take a stand. Raise your hands. Shinso's movement then went autopilot from the adrenaline as his body moved like how Izuku corrects it. If you're sick of it, if you're sick, if you're sick. They then traded blow for blow with Izuku using only small amount of his power. If you're sick of it, if you're sick of it, if you're sick, if you're sick, if you're sick of it, look at them go. Present Mike announced as everyone were mesmerized by the fight below while Spirit Izuku kept singing. Every single day I chase my own tail. Like a rat inside a maze has gotta get. Get away. Shinso now fully understand what our protagonist is doing and went back to manual as he felt something streaming through his body. I'm running out of time for me to break this. I'm tired of feeling like I'm never gonna make it. Shinso began to evade Izuku's attacks with various acrobatics to do it, which made everyone feel more amazed. No one can make this better. Take control. It's now or never. Shino's immediately went back to the offense as he is gonna deliver a haymaker on Izuku's head. But Izuku felt it and blocked it as they continued in a standstill. Are you sick of it? Raise your hands. Get rid of it while there's a fighting chance. Are you over it? Bored to death? Have you had enough regret? Take a stand. Raise your hands if you're sick of it, if you're sick. If you're sick, if you're sick of it, if you're sick of it, if you're sick. If you're sick, if you're sick of it, I'm tired of it, I'm over it, I'm bored to death. Gotta face this, I'm sick of it. Shinso then felt his body giving out as he is moving slower with Izuku slowly taking it more seriously. Raise your hands if you're sick of it. Izuku then sweeps Shinso's legs. Raise your hands if you're sick. If you're sick of it, he then kicked him on his Shinso's right leg with his other feet. Sick of it, raise your hands on the chest. Get rid of it while there's a fighting chance to the left arm. Are you over it? Right shoulder. Bored to death. A punch to the gut. Have you had enough regret? A back kick to his ribs. Take a stand. Raise your hands. Izuku reeled in his right arm and gave a strong arm thrust to Shinso's chest. Are you sick of it? If you're sick. If you're sick of it, Shinso is then sent flying by the blow. Get rid of it if you're sick. If you're sick of it, Izuku suddenly appeared behind him and kicked him up to the sky. Are you over it? He appeared upon him again and kicked him over and over till Shinso reached the clouds. Bored to death. Have you had enough regret? Take a stand. Raise your hands. Are you sick of it? If you're sick. If you're sick of it. Are you sick of it? If you're sick. If you're sick of it, Izuku then appeared above him and delivered an axe kick to the gut as Shinso is sent flying back down. Are you sick of it? If you're sick. If you're sick of it, Izuku appeared slightly below him as Izuku caught him and both of them crashed on the ground as large dust cloud covered them. If you're sick of it. If you're sick. If you're sick of it, the spirit them disappear as everyone patiently waited for the dust cloud to dissipate. As it was finally gone, they saw Izuku with Shinso unconscious in his arms with not a single damage on him, and are in a large crater. Holy moly. Present Mike shouted in disbelief from everything. Indeed, Aizawa said as he looked at them without a care, but is actually surprised as well from the display. Hitoshi is unable to continue. Midoriya will advance for the next round. Midnight announced as everyone cheered for the rather extravagant fight. You did great, Shinso, Izuku said as he began his trek to Recovery Girl's office with Shinso still on his arms. That was manly. Tajiro shouted in excitement as everyone except Bakugo agreed with him. But the way he conjured a spirit is quite interesting. Momo said in interest. His quirk is really intriguing. Both equal power of both mind and body in one vessel. And this is the result, a powerful, versatile, but dangerous quirk. Indeed it was, Tenya said in agreement. Meanwhile, Shoto silently walked away for his match, but faced an obstacle along the way. In the infirmary, Shinso groggily woke up and saw Midoriya meditating on the opposite side of the room. I'm glad you're awake, Shinso, Izuku said as he opened his left eye. From the demonstration you've shown me, I already know that you can beat me, but why help me? He asked. Because I can see potential in you, Izuku answered. People these days only see the obvious effects of their quirks, and not look deeper that their capabilities is only there. You Shinso, I could see potential deep within you, and you just need help get that. Your quirk is special and can help you become a hero. Shinso slowly teared up from his words as everyone thought his quirk is villainous. But here is one man believing that he can do it. Thank you, Shinso said. Anytime, Izuku said as he left Shino's to rest, and walked back to his classmates. That was overboard, Kyoka said as she and everyone were leaning back. What would be the cause? This, yeah, too much, Denki said as he looked a little horrified. Right in front of them is a large glacier that Shoto made in an instant that immediately froze his opponent, which was 𝗧𝗏. Hey guys, what's with the giant ice? They look who it was, and it's Izuku pointing at the large glacier. Shoto, Denki, Kyoka, and Marcia simply said, "Damn," Izuku said as he reeled in his arm and began spinning it around. 𝐿, Izuku shouted as he hit the air upwards and the top half of the turned to bits in a single blow. "Well, that takes care of that," Marcia said as Endeavor, who is from the opposite side of the arena, used his flames to melt the bottom half. "Well, I'm gonna go now," Denki said as he began to run down to the arena for his match. "Good luck," Marcia shouted. "I will," Denki yelled back as he winked at the female Midoriya. Now with the giant ice block out of the way, time for our next competitors. Present Mike announced as everyone were excited. "This will be interesting," Izuku said as he took his seat beside Kyoka. Introducing the assassin from Class B of the Hero course, it's 𝐈𝐴𝐴𝐵 versus the living lightning bolt from the Hero course, it's Denki Kaminari. Present Mike announced.